It's Fucked Financial Fridays. I hope you had a good week. It's Fucked Financial Fridays. I was just thinking of actually I'm so tired. Oh my god, I don't know about you guys. You he, she's and theys. I am exhausted. This week has exhausted me. And not even really anything happened. I think. I don't really remember. But what I know is I'm exhausted. Good morning, Spin. Wow, Spin, good to see you. Yeah, I am just fucking beat. Beat. I got puffy eyes and all kinds of crap happening. I just want to go back to bed. Not really, because I'm a morning person. I really love the morning. I think mornings are so great. I don't know why. Well, I know why. Because I feel like the day has such potential all the time. And I so look forward to time in the morning where I can just like do this or you know watch stuff I want to. I don't know. I find the morning very snuggly. Hi Neil. Good morning. Bonjour, mes amis. I find the morning very snuggly. I do. I find the morning very snuggly. And yeah. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. And you have just entered Fucked Financial Fridays. You got a new modem? Hell yeah, baby. That's right. Yay! Oh, Neil, I'm so glad. You would have been missed terribly. Tonight's the movies, by the way. Hello, tonight's the movie. I don't know what it is. No, actually, I do know what it is. It's gonna. Well, I don't know. I'm going between Escape from Alcatraz and hold on. What do I want? Escape from Alcatraz. That's a pretty good one. Oh, we were sad you weren't there. How about that? Haberdashery. What did you think of that? Um, but I don't know. I'm not sure which one. I know Timely, right? Well, that's what we thought of. I mean, Alcatraz came up, so I thought, oh, well, let's do an Alcatraz movie. And I like both those movies, Escape from Alcatraz and The Rock. Even though I can't stand Sean Connery, I can't stand fucking Nicolas Cage. I can't stand. I watched it later. I missed another great lounge. Lots of great topics. Oh, Neil. Well, strap in, darling, because today's going to be amazing. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's going to be whatever comes out of my fucking pie hole. That's what it's going to be. And it's not always great. Either movie sounds fine. No Year of Living Dangerously. No. No, we're not watching Year of Living Dangerously. No. I don't I can't, I mean, there's some performances I can't watch, and that would be one of them. I cannot watch Mel Gibson in that. I can overcome my hatred for Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. Somehow I can suspend belief that those are who those people are in these movies. So for some reason it's easy. It's a very good movie in my humble opinion. This was Mel Gibson pre-Nut Bar. I know. It was. It was a good movie. I'm sorry. I always think romance movies in wartime are kind of interesting. Like I don't know. You have to do that very delicately. Anyway, I'm sorry. We're not going to go on and on about it. Hi Lee, good morning. I'm already perturbed this morning, so I hope there are some funny moments reading about the general terms agreed to by the US Senate. Okay, well, guess what, Lee? Guess what, darling Lee? Hi butterflies. How are you, darling? Lee, guess what? I got something to play for you then. You're going to enjoy this. Anyway, so we're going to start Fucked Financial Fridays, and we've got lots of stuff. I mean, I'm all over the place again, but at least I'll put the information out, and then you smart people can find whatever of value is in there and expand on it. Okay? So there we go. First up, though, little bit of air. First up, love you, Carl. I love you, darling. Uh, first up is the we gotta check on fascism this week. Let's check our fascism meter. Hold on. It actually looks like it's pretty low this week, which is interesting. I don't know why. I don't really get what the fascism meter is measuring, but I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, so this is the real-time fascism measure from, who is this from? I can't remember. Real-time fascism. That's the name of the website. Realtimefascism.com. God dang it. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Don't fight with me. Don't fight with me. Oh my God, it really does want to fight with me. Okay. Right. Anyway, this is real-time fascism. I can't make the screen any bigger. The fuck? It's going to be one of those days. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to just go with it. If you're going to be a weirdo, system, I'm going to be a weirdo right back at you. You going to fuck with me, system? I'm going to fuck with you. It keeps going off the one piece of thing I need to move. Okay, I'm just going to stop. All right, I'm just going to hope to God that you guys can read some of this. Oh, this is so annoying. Okay, come on. I think I have too much stuff on this screen. Okay, this is what the problem is. This is a me problem, for surezies. Hi, Jane. How are ya? I love that MAGAs don't like the new American Pope. Ooh, is that it? Is that it? The crazy eyes are me. I love you. Don't. If they hurt my Lee, I'm gonna go beat them up. Okay, Lee? If they're mean to you, I'm gonna go beat them up. I think Keir Starmer is more. Hi, Kim. How are you, darling? Good to see you. Okay, I think Keir Starmer is. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. I don't know if I trust Keir Starmer. Is that terrible? Yeah, I thought I'd start the morning off right, gal. A little bit of check in on the fascism situation. Well, today it's quite low. I guess the day's still young. But, it's still pretty low today. The U.S. definitely doesn't know what they're walking into trying to negotiate agriculture with UK. Farmers are already pissed. Yeah, I don't. Okay, we're going to go over that too, Lee. What we know of it. Obviously, you may know more. But what we know of it. Breaking news. Souter died? Oh. Was he good? I think he was good. I can't remember. Sorry. David Souter. Oh, I remember him. Wow, 85. I didn't think he was that old, but there you go. All right, fine. Whatever. Well, that's one more Republican out the door. That's what I say. Sorry. Even you guys rapture. Sorry. Republican justice who allied with court's liberal wing dies at 85. That's true. He did actually he did vote with us. It's true. He did vote with the whatchamacallit. I get it. All right. David Souter, New Hampshire Republican who was named to the Supreme Court by President George Bush and who over 19 years on that bench became a mainstay of the court's shrinking liberal wing, died on Thursday in his home in Concord, New Hampshire. He was 85. His death was announced on Friday, blah, blah, blah. A shy man who never married. Oh, I didn't know that. Who much preferred an evening alone with a good book. How do you know that? How do you know that? Well, good for him. He retired at 69 to return to his beloved home state. Good for him. Justice Souter had acquired the label that would stick for the remainder. He was the justice who surprised the president, who appointed him, who left conservative Republicans bitterly disappointed, whose migration on the bench from right to left led to the cry of "No more Souters." When another sorry, David Souter, you were good. I just forgot. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm really tired today, so that's what my excuse is. My excuse for being an asshole, it's I'm at romance movies at wartime catching up. It's kind of wartime right now. Oh, Root. Oh, Jane, we got to look at Root. Hold on, I got to do that. Hold on. I got to give Jane her like thirst trap. And plus I got to see what this man's all about. I think I've seen him, but I just don't remember. Like Oh yeah, the Secretary General of NATO. You know who I have a bigger crush on though is Ursula. I'm going to tell you right now. Although Mark's pretty good. He did something once that kind of pissed me off. Like, and it wasn't pissed me off, but it was like, what? Why are you being so wishy-washy? All right, here's his wiki. There he is. Oh, Jane. Jane, make sure you're looking at the screen. Mark Rutte. Mark Rutte. Oh, he's close to my age. Oh my God, we're perfect for each other. I'm just kidding. The fascism bucket is low so far today. Jane, it's the morning. Give it time. Prevost made Pope at 69. Ooh, Souter retired at 69. Prevost made. Is that how you say his name? Prevost? Of course you're tired at 6:30 in the morning. I know. Kim, I feel like it's been a week. I feel like it's this week has been a year. I don't know why. I mean, it's no worse than any other week. We've had bad news every week. It's not like this one was extra special. I don't know, I'm just exhausted. You know what it is? I've been planning this camping trip. Okay, listen, this is what it is. All right, I figured it out. I cracked the case. I have been planning this camping trip and I'm exhausted by just the emotions of planning. And by planning I mean just making some reservations, so I have a place to sleep. And having like something to sleep in. I missed you guys too. I had to clean my house instead. Now I'm exhausted. That's right, Neil. Just relax. Relax and let me drive. All right, so there's your thirst trap, Jane. That's for you, darling. Cat Turd, Laura Loomer, and what's his name, Charlie Kirk, are going to stroke out over the Pope. Oh, God. Butterflies. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. I need some good aneurysms. Let it be. I don't want him, Jane. No, I would never take your man. I would never take your man. I got caught up with myself. Yes. Has any time been to films? Okay, so here's the good. I'm glad you're here, GP. I'm glad you're here. I was thinking for the first movie, either Escape from Alcatraz or The Rock, which is the one with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, I think. Yeah. So, can you look at those for the main event, and then we still haven't figured out the B movie, but we can do that in Discord. I'm at Thirst Trap. So we're thinking of Escape from Alcatraz or The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage and blah 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 blah. Yes, Spin, you can have Fiona Hill. That's fine. She's fucking hot. That's true. I would definitely have a girl crush on her. Absolutely, 100%. So yeah, we're thinking of 2 Alcatraz movies for tonight because, since we're going to reopen it. Since we're going to reopen Alcatraz, we should watch the documentaries about them. No, they're not documentaries. Thanks, GP. Thank you so much. So there you go, Jane. My route. There's your route. Let's see. And what did I want? I think I wanted this because, this is what I'm wait, let me make sure this is the one I want. Okay. So this is about 12 minutes, but I wanted to play this because to start off Fuck Financial Fridays. Rute was the other guy. Oh, okay, Jane. All right. I love it. No, we're digging it. I'm digging it. I'm totally. Did you guys watch the military parade last night in Russia in Moscow? Did you see the picture I posted late last night of like one tall guy going up to Putin. Putin stood in this empty hall, like empty stair, like a foyer, kind of. I know. So, well, picture this. Putin is standing in a foyer that is like totally blank. It's 2 staircases and this plate on the wall behind him, and it's just like this open cavern. And then all the leaders who are arriving for this, circle jerk, are shaking his hand and taking a picture. And I got this. I got this picture when this guy was coming in. Hold on, it's really funny. It's really funny. Oh wait, is it on my phone? Fuck, it's on my phone. God damn it. God damn it, because I was watching on my phone. Shit. Okay, wait, hold on. I think I put it on Blue Sky. Hold on. Where am I? I know. Good morning. Happy Friday. Oh, this one. I never get any traction on any of my posts. I feel like I'm just like I must be like disappeared. I mean, I must be really boring. Anyway, let me show you this picture I clipped on my phone last night. That's like real, okay? This is like real. That guy is that tall. This is not an illusion. There's no illusion here. And what is this plate behind him? I don't get it. And it's like, where are these? Oh, these are lamps. Oh, okay, I get it. I thought that was like, those things that, not a genie bottle, but, although it does look like the I Dream of Genie bottle. Doot, 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 doot. Doot, 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 doot. Okay, I'm done. That was fun. Thanks. Anyway, so look how short he is. Like he comes up probably this guy's shoulders. I'm not kidding. This is not like a real weirdo kind of thing. This is not a weirdo kind of like, mind trick. Trick of the eye. Anyway, I thought that was funny because he's like really short. And then, oh my God, you guys, come on. Sometimes someone has to watch this who can really like have super secret listening skills. Because if you listen to this like meet and greet that he had, he like, for most of the leaders, he's like, shake their hand, take the picture, get the fuck out of here. But there's a few guys, and I don't know which countries they run. I imagine they're, friendly. Well, they're friendly to Putin. But anyway, so they come up and he's like, gab, gab, gab in their ear. Like they're like, shh, pss, 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 pss. Did you see how big her butt was? Pss, 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 pss. Literally, like little girls, like gossiping to each other. And I'm dying to know what they said because you can almost make out their voices. And so I don't know who's out there who has the talent or time to do it, but that would be an interesting thing to try and get a big listen on because I think he probably said some pretty stupid shit. Anyway, I don't know. What do I know? All right. There's a Yarvin article from the Signal. I'm gonna get it. Hold on. I'm woefully behind in everything, by the way. Oh my God. Window does not need to be this small. Okay, let's go down to where we are. Oh my God, look at this. This is terrible. Did you check? Oh, I didn't check my email. Why? I never check my emails. American Cardinal announces new Pope. YouTube. Okay. All right. Where's Liz? Curtis Yarvin. What? Okay, hold on. Definitely. Okay, what'd I do? Curtis Yarvin used to like Doge, now he scorns it. Boop, boop, boop. Thank you, Lee and Gal, for this. Let's see what he has to say. Curtis Yarvin. Wait, where is he? Hold on. Let's get him. Let's get him here. Come in here, Curtis. We have something to talk to you about. Hold on. What's the matter? And now are you mad? Are you mad, bro? Are all the billionaires looking at you going, "Was this your idea, motherfucker?" Is that what it is now? Is that what it is? Are you feeling the pain, the pressure, the heat? There you are. Are you feeling the pain, the pressure, the heat, sir? Are you? Oh, wow, a Yarvin article. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, okay, mister. Well, you're going to put baby in a corner right now. Hold on. Oops. Man, now I can't get rid of him. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Oh my god. Oh, there he is. Okay, I gotta take him off. Wait, it was established that GP has access to the Leech Woman, 1960. Perfect. Perfect. That's what the Leech Woman. Yes, that's the one we're gonna watch then. Leech Woman. Perfect. All right, here we go. No seagull pipe cam today. No, I know. We picked a pope. Damn. That was gonna be fun. What a He-Man, yeah. Is he covering his buttocks? All right, yeah, well, is he? I don't even know. I don't understand how these dudes operate in the real world. Okay, I do not understand how these dudes operate in the real world. Yeah, exactly. What a He-Man. Comes up with this bullshit idea and then's like, wait a minute, that's not what I really meant. Okay, let's read and see what these guys say. Curtis Yarvin helped inspire Doggy. No one's thirst trap. Curtis Yarvin helped inspire Doggy. Now he scorns it. Oh. Silicon Valley's neo-monarchist muse compares the Trump administration's bureaucracy slashers to an orchestra of chimpanzees. Who would probably be better, really. J-Man said he loves the idea of tearing down the cathedral, but not this sloppily. We need smart people like him. So what is he regretting this monster he created? Seriously. Or is he looking to squeeze in to replace Musk when Musk is discarded for fucking it all up? The part where he regrets his racist BS makes me think he's trying to clean up or something. Interesting. Insight from J-Rance. That is worthy. Leech Woman. It is. It's like a special documentary. It's a mashup. All right. So definitely the second feature tonight on the Discord movies, Fuck It All Fridays, not to be confused with Fucked Financial Fridays, is the Leech Woman. So, and it's either going to be The Rock or Escape from Alcatraz, perhaps. We'll see. Hopefully he can access one of those films. And then we'll go from there. I'm really excited. I know, Jay Rance, she's so good. All right, here we go. Curtis Yarvin, blah, blah, blah. Before gutting the federal workforce became Elon Musk's job, it was Curtis Yarvin's dream. Yarvin, a Silicon Valley blogger and software developer who argues for replacing American democracy with a dictatorship. It looks pretty bad. Oh, no. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Yarvin, a Silicon Valley blogger and software developer. Oh, it's bad. Who argues for replacing American democracy with a dictatorship, spent years outlining. Oh, that's right. I haven't heard it. Oh my God. I can't play it because I want them to play it. But there's a song. Okay. You will recognize some voices. You will recognize some voices on tonight's 5/8 karaoke. Just saying. An internet philosopher. Stop. Okay, wait, here we go. Yarvin, blah, 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 spent years outlining an assault on what he calls the cathedral of elite power and consensus. Long before the U.S. Doggy Service launched in January, Yarvin coined his own four-letter acronym for bureaucracy slashing rage. It's in my email. Oh, okay. I'll listen to it. I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, Yarvin coined his own four-letter acronym for bureaucracy slashing, RAGE, or retire all government employees. Oh, I love MST. I love Mystery Science Theater. Although he says he has never met Musk. Just stop. Just stop. Hi, Easily. How are you, darling? Yeah, just stop. Stop pretending. We now see the veil's been lifted, okay? Deal with it. Although he says he's never met Musk. I don't know her. Oh, I gotta put that. Wait, do I have that yet? Oh, as a thing? I do. I know I do. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make this work. Where is? Oh, I did add it. Fabulous. Fabulous. Here we go. Here, Curtis. This is what Curtis Yarvin was caught at a party and he was asked about Musk. And this is what he said. Oh my God. Hot off the press. Hi, Paul Langen. How are you, darling? Moldbug has never met Musk. Yeah, I don't believe that. I know. My Curtis Yarvin GIFs are in Signal. Don't know if you can save them or what. Let me try. Okay, thank you, Mariah. Thank you, Mariah. Let me see. Internet philosopher. Oh my God, you made me. You're so great. I can download that. Let me see if I can download. Download. Is he picking his nose? Oh, fuck yeah. I love it. Nose picker. Internet philosopher. Wait, I've got it. Hold on. I know. We're just like molasses this morning. I'm sorry, everybody. Both main features available. I've not seen The Rock and a tad testosterone driven for my. Well, it is and it isn't. You know what? We're gonna do Escape from Alcatraz. We're gonna go old school. We're gonna do Escape from Alcatraz. That'll be it. It's gonna be annoying, GP. Don't get me wrong. They're definitely not gonna. They're gonna disappoint. However, they will be at least something to. Okay, let me see. Yarvin, internet philosopher. Internet philosopher. There we go. Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't know why this makes me so happy. Why this makes me so happy. I want. Is this the one? Wait. You got a loop. I can't get it all at once. Yeah, watch for Alcatraz research. I'm a terrible producer sometimes. I have my moments. Don't judge us. I love this. Internet philosopher. I love it. Thank you for that, gal. Oh my God. Please make him a Henson puppet. Yes. Where's D? Oh, bye, Lee, darling. Bye, my darling. Oh, I wish you didn't work. I don't want you to work. I want you to play all day. Come on. When are you going to play all day? Mom, do you want to build a snowman? I love you. Hooky time. Yeah. No, Lee's gotta uphold the fucking trade situation fucking single-handedly. We need her. Okay. Ooh. Although he says he's never met Musk, Yarvin is a powerful influence among those carrying out Doggy's radical cost-cutting agenda, two advisors to the effort said. One who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to describe the group's work, said Yarvin had offered the most crisp articulation of what DOGGY, which stands for Department of Government Efficiency, is trying to achieve. There's the quote, there's this alliance of the media, of universities, of government, the DOGGY advisor said. These people are capturing the government and using it for their own ends and their own power. And that's very scary to us. You want to lessen the power of the cathedral. This is one of the DOGGY people speaking. This is a DOGGY person making that quote. These people, who's he talking? Alliance of universities, media, and government, the deep state, the derp state. They've fucked up. They've re-engineered logic in their brains, or they all have implants. How many of you want to bet that there's some kind of implant? Like he's using these kids as also like experiments. I could see a world where that was happening. Sorry. Oh, they're scared. Yeah, excuse me. It's not every day a neo-monarchist Substack helps shape disruptive federal policies, but Yarvin, 51, isn't celebrating. In fact, in several recent interviews with the Washington Post, he offered a surprisingly harsh assessment of DOGGY, comparing it to an orchestra of chimpanzees trying to perform Wagner. Well, they do a pretty good job, actually. Have you heard their Ring of the Nibelungenlied? Yeah. He also said the group's attitude toward federal workers resembles that of a brash but insecure man who repels potential sexual partners. I believe that's what we call incels. Oh, you're recognizing that there's a bunch. You are the king of incels? Is that what you're, Mr. Yarvin? Are you recognizing now that you're the king of incels? And does that make you uncomfortable? Did you want some cooler people to follow you? Well, then you had to come up with cooler ideas. In the worst aspects of DOGGY, there's this aspect of the incel, who gets mad at the girl who won't sleep with him, Yarvin said, using the term for so-called involuntary celibates. That's not a powerful attitude. Honey, 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 have you seen yourself? Have you seen yourself? Have you seen yourself? Have you seen yourself? Boo-boo, boo-boo, you are a fucking incel. You're the king of the incels. Joke's on you, nose picker. The mixing of high and low analogies is characteristic of Yarvin, whose wildly discursive blog posts, which on a given day might analyze American politics with reference to Shakespeare, Stalin, and the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. Oh my God. Who's more dangerous, boomers or these guys? I don't know. I guess it's not really. It's a distinction without a difference. Have become required reading for the extremely online right. Among the better-known members of his audience are Vice President J.D. Vance and pro-Trump Silicon Valley investors Mark Andreessen and Peter Thiel. Are they just readers? Are they just members of his audience? Is that what you think? Okay. Even in a political culture habituated to extremes, Yarvin plants his flag on the fringe. He has written that the late South African anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, comparable to the Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik. Admiringly described President Franklin D. Roosevelt as a more effective autocrat than Hitler, and argued for replacing the existing global order with thousands of, quote, sovereign and independent mini-countries, each governed by its own joint stock corporation without regard to the residents' opinions. Yeah. That such a provocative figure should deem the early activity of the second Trump administration too, well, provocative, is among the many unpredictable developments since the president assumed office less than 4 months ago. Despite his informed role as a secular prophet to DOGGY and some Trump administration policymakers, Yarvin now asserts that Musk and President Donald Trump are needlessly harming and antagonizing government experts Whose support they should be seeking. Ah, that's what he's mad about. He's mad about the brain drain. The brain drain. Hold on. We've got some good news. We need good news. Gal's coming in hot with some good news. Coming in hot with some good news. Oh, excellent. Arizona. Oh, okay. I really like this. Hold on. I don't like it when I can't. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. Oops. Hard to see. I know. Sorry about that. All right. This is a gal post from today. Thank you to everyone who shared. I'm told that when news crews started to arrive at this location, the agents dispersed. See something, say something, speak out. Yes. Thank you, Jim Stewartson, for getting the word out. Here we go. This was yesterday. Jim tweeted PSA ICE is staging at 19th Avenue and Thomas in Phoenix, Arizona in a church parking lot. Wow. In a church parking lot. ICE are fist bumping and taking pictures of each other while they get ready to round up people from a food bank. Oh, it's off screen? Oh, shit, it is off screen. I'm so sorry. I moved it and I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Let me go back. Thank you for that. It's kind of off screen. Thank you. That's a very gentle way of saying, what the hell are you doing, lady? Okay. Yeah. This is yesterday in Arizona, in a Jim tweet to get this out. And then ICE agents are fist bumping. Oops. This is at a food bank. Look at, they're taking pictures about that. My sister sent me those, Lolo, and didn't know what to do. Oh my goodness. Well, it fucking worked. Thank your sister. Gave the address. Oh my God. And I love my friends. I love my friends. Thank you, gal. Thank you, gal sister. Thank you, Jim. This is amazing. We need to do things like this. I'm sorry. This is the world we're in. See something, say something has a whole new meaning. Hi, Hags. How are you, darling? We're just going over. Gal tweeted out, and Jim boosted a potential ICE raid, and thankfully, news crews showed up, and the agents got out of there. But they were at a food bank, at a church, ready to arrest people. Fucking amazing. Yeah, Neil. I'd like to see Pope Leo issue a papal bulletin. No law enforcement agencies are allowed on church property anywhere at any time. Yeah. Fuck. Thank you, gal. Oh my God, I love you so much. I love you and your family. All right, let's go back to Mencius Moldbug. Quote, it's very short-sighted behavior from the standpoint of building capital or building power, Yarvin said. They're really acting on a seat-of-the-pants basis. Really? You think so? You think so? You think so? Really? Little acts of resistance do work. You're intervening in someone being harassed. And it's not legal. What they're doing is not legal. I don't care what they fucking want to paint it as. These raids, these intrusions on people's daily lives is wrong. And so we don't adhere to illegal actions. We don't do that. And we're not going to let our neighbors be taken without a due process. And that's not right. It's not right. And they're getting away with way too much of it. These are illegal kidnappings. Be careful driving, Haggard. Okay. That such a provocative figure should deem the early activity about. Oh, yeah, I read that. Yarvin's doggy disillusionment is somewhat surreal, almost as if Marx had lived long enough to troll the Bolsheviks for misreading Das Kapital. It is also, perhaps, an abject lesson in the dangers of translating the often outlandish digital discourse that has shaped the American far right into real world policies that have scaled back scientific research, jeopardized some life saving foreign aid programs, and risked hobbling government services with mass firings. The White House declined to comment. Musk didn't respond. Joshua Tate, a historian of conservatism who has written about Yarvin, said it was surprising but not necessarily out of character that Silicon Valley's neo-monarchist muse has mixed feelings about the implementation of his ideas. Despite his jarringly bleak view of democracy, Yarvin has always had an unexpectedly optimistic vision of what government could achieve, Tate said. I wonder if he has that utopian mindset that makes him clash with the just own the libs ethos of some of Doggy, which is not to say that he didn't spend a lot of time owning the libs, Tate said. Still, Yarvin's ambivalence doesn't always feel intellectually coherent, Tate said. And as Doggy winds down its work, leaving behind a mangled but still defiant federal workforce and savings far short of the $2 trillion promised, Yarvin bears at least some responsibility, Tate argued. I think he does own Doggy regardless of what he says, Tate said. It would have been created, probably regardless, but he spent a good chunk of time creating a justifying framework for it. Hell yeah, he did. Belle, hi, good morning. Yes, please hit the like on the stream. Ambushing people at a food bank is despicable. That's right, Neil. And we can't. I would rather be wrong about trying to stand in the way than doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be wrong about. I'd rather take the blows for that. Yeah, you broke it. Yeah, you fuck me. Yeah, Jane, you broke it. You bought it, Menches. Fuck off now. All right, inside the cathedral. As Yarvin tells it, his childhood almost eerily reflected the left-leaning elite circles he now condemns. His father, who he says was raised by communists, retired as a senior official in the U.S. Foreign Service. The young Yarvin spent years living abroad, eventually transferring from a British-run academy in Cyprus to a high school in Maryland. A math prodigy, he skipped 3 grades and graduated from Brown University at age 18 in 1992. Yarvin briefly enrolled in a doctoral program in computer science at the University of California at Berkeley before dropping out to join a tech company. He created computing platform Urbit in 2002. Yeah, he had a great upbringing. And that's why he's so fucked up. But did not find the vocation that would earn him a devoted following until 2007 when he launched the blog Unqualified Reservations. I haven't read that. Writing under the pseudonym Mencius Moldbug, a play on Goldbug and Confucian philosopher of the Zhou dynasty, Yarvin gradually constructed a radical critique of liberal democracy, drawing on the scientist Richard Dawkins' concept of memes, ideas that compete and replicate themselves through natural selection, just as genes do, without regard to their underlying truth. Yarvin argued that the egalitarian rhetoric of the left masked self-serving ideals whose true function was to expand elites' power. The network that isn't that funny? Who's the elites? I want him to define that. I really want him to define that. Kevin, where have you been? Are you okay? I've been worried about you. But Mini-Me read to me last night a letter from indigenous folks asking him to progress further than Francis. There's a lot of anger against Catholics for good reason. Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he just stands in the breach. You know? Yeah, I just hope he stands in the breach. Kevin, it's good to see you, darling. Let's see here. Yeah, the middle class. Yeah, the middle class are the elites. I don't know. The network that nurtures these concepts, the news media, universities, and similar sources of supposed expertise, make up Yarvin's cathedral. American leaders had become dangerously reliant on institutions, he argued, diluting responsibility for the government's diminishing performance. The antidote, in his view, was a system that would not leak power but concentrate it as much as possible, ideally in a single person. Quote, the problem of choosing the benevolent dictator, making sure he or she stays benevolent, and replacing her or him with an equally benevolent successor is not an impossible or an unimaginable paradox, Yarvin wrote. It is an engineering problem. Interspersed with these musings were inflammatory attacks on cathedral orthodoxy, notably on the subject of race. Yarvin wrote recurrently about crime committed by racial minorities, and he objected to the government and business programs intended to elevate the status of African Americans. When, quote, applied to populations with recent hunter gatherer ancestry and no great reputation for sturdy moral fiber, he wrote in 2009, such initiatives were a recipe for the production of absolute human garbage. Ugh. God, he is human garbage. I know. I know. I was hospitalized. Oh, Kevin. Oh, Kev. My darling. I know you are. I know, baby. I know. Hang in there. They are a lot. They're a lot. I'm sorry, Kevin. No. Hang in there. I need you to hang in there. I don't know what that means. I don't know how we can help. I love you so much. I love you, Kev. I really do. I wish I could really make this better. Yeah. I am glad. I'm glad you're here. You gotta Are you on the Discord? You gotta get in the Discord. You gotta hang out with us on Discord. Let's see. When interspersed with these musings were inflammatory attacks on cathedral orthodoxy, notably, oh, that's right, I already read that. Yarvin told the Post that he still believes tremendous inborn differences exist between people and between groups of people, and that progressive policies have not helped most Black Americans thrive. However, he said he would choose his words on racial dynamics more carefully today, and that his 2009 remark about minorities' moral fiber was intended to have an intentionally archaic and self parodic tone. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Ooh, Val. I just got my first tattoo at 71 years old. It's a butterfly with a semicolon for its body. Oh, I've not looked up the significance of that. I like that. Thanks, Val. That's right. Let's see. I would definitely phrase it differently because there's kind of a tongue in cheek there that gets lost, said Yarvin, who today writes under his own name on a blog called Grey Mirror of the Nihilist Prince. Outcry over Yarvin's writings on race and politics got him booted from a tech conference where he was slated to appear in 2015 and led some speakers and sponsors to pull out of another conference the following year. Scholars have also criticized his arguments, saying he misrepresents the historical record to celebrate forms of government that were considered deeply oppressive by those who lived under them. But his ideas have simultaneously found favor with powerful people. In emails to the right-wing provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos that were published by BuzzFeed News, Yarvin said he watched the 2016 election at the home of Thiel, one of the few figures in the tech world to back Trump's first presidential campaign. Yarvin wrote that he had been coaching Thiel, whom he described as fully enlightened. Gotta try and get my yes. Yes, baby. Oh, baby. Let me tell you, Kevin, I mean, you know this, so I'm speaking to the choir. I need my meds. And I know there is a distinct difference between my mental state when I'm able to keep on my regimen and when I'm not. And so thank goodness for those. And I really hope that you are able to get some relief. I wish I could just reach out and hug you. I really, you've been a friend for a long time. Normal's good. Boring's great. Yeah. Yes, mental health and the symbol of the pause of suicide attempts, those who get on the other side and continue trekking. Oh, oh. I didn't know the meaning of that. Thank you, Val. Thank you. Kevin, I'm just so glad you checked in. I'm so glad you checked in. Thank you. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for checking in, Kevin. Because there are a lot of people here who care about you. Yeah, exactly. No worries. If you need, yeah, we got that. I can try and help. Just got to try and come up with. You got it. Don't worry about that. We'll do it. We'll do it. In emails to the right-wing provocateur, oh, he was pulling lined. Thiel's venture capital firm invested $250,000 in Telon or Tlon. I don't know. How does he say that? A startup Yarvin created to build out his computing platform, Urbit, which is ridiculous. Neither do I, Neil or Kevin. I don't have a support system offline except for I do have my daughter, which is an amazing and probably the thing that keeps me alive. But yeah, yeah, I know. I love this. I love this community. Jane, we and Kevin's been a part of my life um since 2020 or since 2021. I think 2021 is when we met. So I've known Kevin a long time, and he's just a great person, and he fights for unions and other things. Like he loves his puppies. He's got beautiful puppies. So puppies need you. The puppas need you. Yeah, COVID and the orange turd. Yeah, yeah. Oh, hags. I understand the pain. Stay strong because as long as we have a choice, we have a choice. That's a beautiful thing to say. Yeah, Haggard. I know. Kevin and Haggard, you know each other, but my goodness, beautiful. Dogs are the best. They're such a good pets are a great support system. They can be really amazing. And Kevin has two beautiful doggies, Thor and Loki. Yeah, they're just amazing. Amazing bebes. Bebes. Mother to bebes. Mama bebes. Thiel's venture capital firm invested $250,000 in Telon, a startup Yarvin created to build out his computing. Hold on. To build out his computing platform, Yarvin said. A representative for the firm Founders Fund, Mark Andreessen, fucking asshole. Oh, no, that's Thiel, declined to comment. Thiel did not respond to a request for comment. Oh, other early investors included the founding engineer of Skype, Jan Tallinn, and the venture capital firm controlled by Andreessen, who has described Yarvin as a friend and has cited his ideas. Long a political moderate. No, he's not. Andreessen has become a Trump donor. No, he's not. He's not a political moderate. No. No. What happened? Did Loki do something? Val, I got a butterfly tattoo from my mom. Don't go to the show when she passed. Yeah. Oh. Although I can't wait to give you a hug. Yeah. Oh. You know, I don't know. I love this. I love this community so much. You don't even know how much I love this. You don't know. It's styled as a barcode to nod to her favorite movie, Idiocracy, and has an LGBTQ rainbow as one of the stripes. I love that. Oh my god, I love that. Let's see what else. Long and political moderate, which he's not. Andreessen has become a Trump donor and informal advisor over the past year, and he helped recruit staff for Doggy, according to two people familiar with the group's formation who spoke on the condition of anonymity in order to describe it. Two of Thiel's politically ambitious proteges also embraced Yarvin's thinking. Yeah, don't go to the show was Gal's mom. I wanted her to say it, not I didn't want to have I not my thing to disclose, but yeah. We are family. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know. Let's see. Gal, I think you just dropped a big breaking news there. I think we did. I don't think everyone knew that. Which I'm glad because I just love both of you so much. And I love both of you so much. Loki is a mischievous crackhead. Oops, LOL. No, I think it was, I don't know. Some people know. So, I mean, it's not, yeah. Yeah, I know. Hold on. Let me just do something. Hold on. Can I just do something here? Hold on. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. Oh, come on. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. I do. There we go. Protection from baddies mostly, so we'll keep it hush. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's true. Boop, 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 boop. Perfect description of Loki. It's true. Okay, here we go. Yeah, mum's the word. Don't tell anyone. Two of Teal's politically ambitious proteges. Oh wait, I already said that. Oh wait, no, I didn't. Here we go. Love you. I love Kev. I love you, Kev. Two of Teal's politically ambitious proteges also embraced Yarvin's thinking. Yarvin said he met Vance and Blake Masters, who ran unsuccessfully for the U.S. Senate in Arizona at the same time Vance ran and won in Ohio before they entered politics at social gatherings when they were Teal's employees. Oh. Both men cited Yarvin during their campaign, specifically referring to RAGE, his proposal for dismantling the federal government or bureaucracy. Quote, there's this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who's written about some of these things, Vance said on a right-wing podcast in 2021. He went on to offer his advice for a then hypothetical President Trump in his second term. Quote, fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, and replace them with our people. And when the courts, because you will get taken to court, and when the courts stop you, stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did. What? And say the Chief Justice has made his ruling. Now let him enforce it. Say this is where they got the courts thing. This is where they got the courts thing. Oh, she loved all of you guys, though. She talked about you all often. I'm grateful she had this community. She had a hard life, and you all brought her so much joy. And she hated these tears. I don't want to cry. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And that's it. That's it. That's all there is, kids. That's all there is. There's no Birkins in heaven. There's no going live to talk about people in heaven or wherever. Yeah, I know. I'm already crying too. Okay. I'm going to stop. Anyway, I want to get that as a tattoo. I mean, I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but that one line, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. That to me just really is my life. Hopefully that's my life. That's what I strive for. And I don't succeed all the time at all, but that's what I strive for. That's it. Yarvin is the brain. Happy Mother's Day. Right. Fuck yeah. Yarvin has often seemed ambivalent about the spread of his ideas, expressing skepticism that a remaking of American government was feasible under Washington's political constraints. The first Dump administration, he has written, took only small performative steps to restore a sufficiently powerful chief executive. Oh, exactly. Here we go. Thank you, Val. Thank you for the reminder. Because let me tell you, I'm actually not a fan of Mother's Day. I'm not a fan of Mother's Day. And I want to say, I acknowledge, I hope that all mothers and people who are in the role of momming, okay? Anyone who performs the caretaking and is the mommy, and it can be genderless, it can be uh, all of the things. But to all the birthing people in the world, thank you for the miracles and the struggle, to be caretakers in the world, and the struggle to be birthing people in this world, and the constant battle to retain rights. So there's so many reasons. I mean, that's what Mother's Day should almost become a crusade for the rights of birthing people. And that's really, yeah. The origination of Mother's Day was more appropriate, and I don't really like the commercialized Mother's Day after losing my daughter. Yeah. It's really painful. It can be a really painful thing. And that's why I'm not totally into the whole, like, commercialized Mother's Day brunch and all this nonsense. Yeah, it's like a fake holiday. My daughter rejoined me, boondocking this week to help me with my back injection. Unfortunately, she won't be staying for the weekend. Oh, the baby. Oh, the baby. It is a very painful day for many grieving people. Yeah. That loss is so real. Can't even imagine. So let's hold all those people in our minds. Yeah. I can't wait I can't wait. I'm not going to say it, but I can't wait for next week. I'm so excited. Yeah, spread kindness to honor moms. If that's what you do. I miss my mom every day too, Kevin. Oh my goodness, yes. She was like pure love. Just pure unadulterated love, love, love. All right. Let's see. Let's continue with this dude. Yarvin initially sounded dour notes, saying shortly before Trump was sworn in that he would probably not attend the inauguration. But by January 20th, he had apparently changed his mind. Guess whose mother hated them? Oh, Curtis, who hurt you? What's her name? Mother? I never thought of that aspect of Mother's Day. Thanks, gal. And here's to all the moms who ignored their incel children. Here's to all the moms who created all these morons. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to stop. Okay. Over inauguration weekend, Yarvin swapped his Hallmark leather jacket and cowboy boots for a tux. Ooh, girlie got dressed up, attending several exclusive parties in Washington and holding court at Butterworth's, a Capitol Hill bar that has become the favorite haunt of young MAGA climbers. Ew. One night he was spotted in the bar's basement with Grimes. What? The pop musician who was the mother of 3 of Musk's children. Okay, listen. All right. Okay, listen. Listen, Grimes. First of all, Grimes could have been just an amazing artist. Like she's a decent artist. Okay? She's become a nutbag. And I don't know how, and I'm not, she has the worst ideas. She has, I took up skiing for my ex-husband, right? I went on numerous ski trips trying to embrace the love that my husband had for skiing. Okay? But Grimes says, hold my beer, hold my blue algae, because I'm not only going to do everything my husband likes, my baby daddy likes. I'm gonna change. I guess not change. Maybe this is who she was always. But she's like basically poor people suck. Like, why are you so poor? Like AI is gonna fix everything. Like she's fucking part of this. So she can complain about the way he throws her child all over the internet. Frankly, I don't care. And the fact that Grimes during the administration is kiki with these assholes, okay? The fact that she's down there fucking hanging out with the bros is another reason to say fuck you, Grimes. Fuck you, Grimes. Fuck you. Your talent doesn't begin to obscure your bigotry and your fucking sycophantism. Ugh. God, I hate these people so much. Rich people suck. Yarvin said he briefly spoke to Vance at another party at Teal's mansion in Northwest Washington. He told Politico that he also had lunch with Michael Anton, a senior State Department official. Why are they so lame, Jane? Shortly after returning to California, he wrote approvingly of the administration's first days, characterized by pardons for the January 6 rioters and a flurry of provocative executive orders in a Substack post titled The Pleasure of Error. Quote, after a week, I think it's clear that Donald Trump was not engaging in hyperbole when he told the libs, we will do things to you that have never been done before, Yarvin wrote. Yeah, Anton. After a week, I think it's clear that Donald Trump was not Musk had at this point embarked on his own mission, sending loyalists to tear through government agencies, hoover up citizens' data, slash programs, and force thousands from their jobs. The billionaire has taken such a forceful approach, according to people who know him, because he believes the government is deeply broken. I don't think he believes that at all. Okay? He doesn't believe that the government is broken. He believes that the government has not given him enough contracts. And this is what this is all about. This is part and parcel. So I'm going to take exception with these journalists because it is not about that. It is about the fact that they want to dismantle it and then buy it as a fire sale. My God. Can no journalist put those things together? Can they not? Is there a journalistic, way to put those two things together? Oh, happening now. Rumeysa Öztürk appears remotely for her bail hearing in Vermont federal court. She's one of the folks that was removed from the street in an illegal kidnapping attempt. Yeah, if there's a call, yeah, I'm not sure. But there might be. Vermont. I don't know what Vermont's court stuff is. Musk installed himself in the Eisenhower Executive Office building adjacent to the White House, his 4-year-old son and his video gaming computer in tow, exhibiting a vision of executive power that looked to be straight out of Yarvin's playbook. She is the student that was taken off the street and they tried to deport her. Here we go. Let me get over here. Let me get over here. Yeah, they just want to they want to privatize it. Okay, like it's not really. The court provided remote access and press information is the top of the docket. Oh my God, so tiny. Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. Öztürk's lawyer says her client will testify at the bail hearing along with other witnesses in. Oh, wonderful. Let's see here. I'm not sure if she is or not. I'm not sure I thought she was a graduate student, but I wasn't sure I didn't get all the background. Hold on. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oops. This is what I'm doing. Ah.
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now.
Hell
There
yeah.
are more than 310 participants in the meeting. You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until the host admits you to the meeting.
Damn. You're not been. La 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 la. I'll put on the campfire for this. We'll come back to Mr. Yarvin. Don't worry. Dun 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 bum 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 yeah na 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 whoa 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 la 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 la. You're not a bad producer. You're a wonderful producer. Don't say that.
By pressing star activities and some activities that I organized by myself. For example, I have been part of the student committee. I have been part of belonging committee. I have been part of the search committee. I have been part of a community art project called Beautiful Stuff, where we make mosaics with all parts of our community, including children, professors, and community members, where we reflected on our values of like togetherness and community and belonging. And also, very recently, I have organized with some of my colleagues.
I'm sorry, Ms. Öztürk, can you pause for 1 second?
Yes.
So can I just interrupt just for a second? So you were talking about being a participant in a larger group, dealing with your studies. I think your studies in general with the department, but also maybe specifically about the focus of your thesis. Can you just describe what that work entails?
Of course. So the work that I do is about children and adolescents' positive media use, and like over the years, I have been participating in various activities related to this. The first one included like being a teaching assistant for almost all the courses offered related to children and adolescents like media use. The second includes teaching my.
Okay. Well, hold on just 1 second. I think we're having trouble understanding you. I think it's probably the because of the long distance somewhere between Louisiana and Vermont. So if you can just slow down a little bit, maybe try to cut it in half so that you're going twice as slowly. And I think then we'll be able to understand.
Oh my God.
Of course. Thank you, Ivana. So the first activities that I was involved was being a teaching assistant to all the courses that were offered at my department related to children's and adolescents media use. That includes media literacy, creating media for children, children and mass media, and one more course. I can't remember its name. And the second.
Okay, so you've been an assistant to many of the classes that are a part of the Child Study and Human Development program, and also you're focusing, at least in part, on media presentations, in particular in youth development. Is that right?
I am right now in my dissertation study, particularly studying how young people use media in a positive way, in a pro-social way, benefiting others. When I say benefiting others, I talk about like how young people use media to like support to their friends who are experiencing some emotional difficulties, who need some help
Sounds
with
really
their
good.
assignments, or I am talking about like students or young people creating some creativity projects helping each other or supporting some community projects such as like helping homeless people.
So this study on how
So she's
young
studying
people
child development,
use media,
youth development.
and the full range of how they use media
That's
to
amazing.
contribute to their
Thank you. We
education.
need people like her.
Is that part of your thesis or your doctorate? Is that right?
This is part of my dissertation study to explore how young people use media in a pro-social way. And
Yeah.
it is also this work
I love
is
it.
also broadly related
How
to the work
young
that I
people
did
use
over the
media in a
last,
pro-social way.
5 years at my PhD program and 2 years in my master's program.
Oh my God.
Okay.
She's a PhD.
It was part of your master's as well as,
Holy shit.
Your doctorate.
Oh my
In your
God.
master's program, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you are a Fulbright scholar. You were attending Columbia, I think, for your master's. Had you been living in New York at that point?
Yes, I did my master's at Teachers College, Columbia University, and I lived there in Upper Manhattan between 2018 and 2020.
Right. And Ms. Öztürk, can you
No,
describe
Jane, not the
your
same.
community engagement work
But equal
at Tufts
energy.
University?
Of course, I would love to describe. I will give some examples of my involvement in the Tufts community. For example, very recently, one of the last activities that I, by myself, was part of organizing was a collective grieving event for children suffering all around the world, experiencing war and conflict. In this event...
Sorry. So if you could hold on just 1 second. If you again try to remind you to be slow.
You can't understand?
In your presentation and try to be quite distinct
Oh my
in
God.
your language.
Okay.
Fuck you, Vermont.
Because, we have a court reporter here who's taking down every word that you say, which is a difficult process. So first she has to be able to understand what you're saying and then write it down at the same time you're speaking. It's almost a magical
stop.
effort.
Stop.
But it's made easier if you are more slow, you speak more slowly. Okay.
Thank you very much, Yale. I will do my best to be slower. So one of the last activities that I have alongside with my colleagues organized was an event called Collective Grieving for Children Experiencing War and Conflict all around the world. So in this event, I and my colleagues organized the event in 3 sessions. The first part, first of all, we came all together to grieve for children, all children, from Gaza to Israel, from Russia to Ukraine, from Sudan to Uyghur, from like Congo to Haiti.
Sorry, just hold on 1 second. Ms. Öztürk, can you repeat the list of places where the children that you were grieving for? And just a little slower for the court reporter.
In this event, we wanted everyone to come with children that are in their care circle, hopefully all children all around the world. That included all community members coming with concerns and compassion and grief for children from Gaza to Israel, from Russia to Ukraine, from Congo to Haiti, from Sudan to Yemen, from Cameroon to Afghanistan, from all parts of the world that the year care circle can expand.
Can I ask you, how do you do that? How do you get children from Russia, Israel, Ukraine, and all over the world to participate in your services?
This was an event for us as people working for child development and well-being.
Dude.
This was a department-specific confidential place where staff, faculty students, doctoral students came together to grieve. I think as people who are working in academia for child development and well-being, it is sometimes possible that we forget the emotional touch and or grief, expanding to children that we don't necessarily work directly.
Exactly.
So that doesn't mean that we don't grieve for our children. All of them are ours from all parts of the world, experiencing very sad events, including war and conflict.
It was an event to grieve the loss of children across the world
the entire
because of conflict.
Department? Is this your focus?
This is just one of the activities I organized in my department alongside with my colleagues. This is one of the first examples I wanted to give. This event was a day-long, like a 3-4 hours of event where we came together to share some poetry from authors, from poets from Turkey to Jewish American authors, from interfaith traditions who are wishing children's well-being and safety all around the world. And then the next.
Sorry, we're going to just ask you to pause again.
Okay.
Can I just ask another question? So you are speaking with children from
What?
different parts of the world.
What?
And oftentimes those children will be speaking with other children who may be a part of communities that are in conflict. But is it your effort to try to bring them together so that the tension among children is reduced?
What are we doing? Is she fighting her dissertation here?
Not for children, but for people who are working for child development. That includes professors.
Yeah, it's people who work in child development. Bye, Kevin.
Who are grieving for children.
Thanks for checking in, bub.
It was not for children. It was for us, for people who care about enough from
Yeah,
children.
it's people coming together in recognition of children's suffering.
People, adults,
oh my God.
Who are in your field of study to essentially work with children to reduce tension.
What the hell?
Is that right?
Thank you so much for asking. I was just trying to give some of the projects that I do. That in that project, the purpose was for us to just create some safe space to grieve for children.
Yeah, a safe space to grieve for all the world's children.
That we don't have touch, but our compassion expands. So it was a project of poetry and art and silence that we shared as adults with our shared concern for children.
Okay.
So I just want to give one last example that I did. And if you like me, Mudassar, to give more examples about some projects that I was involved at my department and stuff, I'm happy to provide more explanations.
Okay. Do you want to go to your next topic?
Sure. So, Ms. Öztürk, I'd like to ask you some questions about your medical conditions, if that's all right.
Of course.
When were you diagnosed with asthma?
Can you repeat one more time, please?
When were you diagnosed with asthma?
Yeah, it's definitely the fuzzy connection.
Asthma in 2023.
And where did this diagnosis take place?
It took place in Turkey when I was visiting my hometown.
What were the symptoms you were experiencing before?
What is going on here?
Sought medical care at that time.
What is going on here?
At this time, I had constant coughing and chest tightness and breathing difficulties that lasted multiple days. And after that, I went to the doctor to learn what was happening.
But why is he asking her personal questions about it?
Have you ever experienced an asthma attack?
I experienced asthma attacks before my detention for around 9 times, yes.
Describe the symptoms you feel during an asthma attack?
This is kind of ridiculous.
So,
oh, they're not providing asthma medication. Thank you, gal. Sorry.
Beyond control.
I have to have my cough.
Stress and anxiety and exhaustion.
And can you tell me about how your doctor in Turkey advised you to manage your condition?
At that time, my doctor provided me different inhalers. One of them included a maintenance inhaler that prevents asthma attacks. And also, he provided me an emergency inhaler when I need to use during an asthma attack. Also, he suggested that I significantly make some changes in my life. That includes that includes avoiding from strong smells like perfumes, chemicals, detergents, and being careful about air ventilation, stress, and making sure that I don't enter very crowded places. Just managing my daily life to avoid the triggers and have a less stressful life.
Thank you, Ms. Öztürk. And are there, I think you may have mentioned this, but are there any non-environmental triggers that also contribute to your asthma?
Definitely. I think, although it is not the primary cause of triggers, I think stress definitely triggers my asthma.
Okay. And can you
Yeah, maybe
describe
being
the different
kidnapped off the
things
street.
you did while you were living in Massachusetts prior to your arrest and detention to help manage your asthma?
Of course. One of the things that I was doing was going to my lab or library very early on. So sometimes I was living very close to my apartment. Sometimes I went there at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and I always try to go to library in the earliest time, 7:45 or 8 when they open. I try to avoid from crowded places. I try to talk with my friends so they know what I am experiencing. I am avoiding non-hypoallergic pets. I am also having a very stress-free life that includes my daily life mainly being me going to the library or lab and working on my dissertation work for until late afternoon.
She's just
and
working.
my walk and cooking and
She's doing shit. She's just
and
a
reading
fucking
books and,
PhD
going to
student.
bed.
That's what she is.
And what steps
PhD
did you take
candidate.
in your home to help
That's
manage
all.
your asthma?
There were multiple steps that I took. First of all, I was using, if I needed to use detergents or cleaning supplies, I was experimenting with them, and I was only using very natural ingredients, cleaning supplies. I also was living in a very small home, and I was very careful about air ventilation. I was opening my windows many times, especially if I have cough. Also, I was keeping all the cleaning supplies in a very close closet.
And that's cleaning supplies, did you say?
Yes, cleaning supplies in a closet. Yes.
And Ms. Öztürk, I think you may have already mentioned this, but just to confirm, how many asthma attacks did you suffer prior to your arrest and detention?
In my best knowledge, I had around 9 asthma attacks prior to my arrest, over the 2.5 to 3 years after my diagnosis.
And on average, how long did those asthma attacks last for?
On average, those asthma attacks last for 5 to 15 minutes, except one incident where it took multiple days.
Oof.
And it was outside of my control.
Can you describe the circumstances of that severe asthma attack that you just mentioned was out of control?
Yes, of course. This happened in my best knowledge in 2023 after I came from Turkey. I had COVID at that time, and having both
COVID.
things together really increased my symptoms. For many days, I was not able to stop my cough. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. And I get in touch with my providers at Tufts Medical Center to get the adequate help.
And so did the Tufts Medical Center help continue to manage your asthma condition going forward?
For the next 2 months, they were in touch with me. During that time,
Oh, yeah.
I met with them in person, also online. And they did follow up and adjusted my inhaler.
And how effective were all the measures you were taking, including at home, at the lab, and through your contact with the Tufts Medical Center at managing your asthma prior to your detention?
Except the one incident that I described, my asthma was well maintained. It was under control most of the time. I was, of course, using my maintenance inhaler and also emergency inhaler when I had exposure. But I believe it was well maintained.
And just to confirm, how often do you take your maintenance inhaler?
The maintenance inhaler is something that I use daily, but there has been some months that I was able to quit it.
Oh, it's been a month since she's had her medicine.
Of lack of triggers. For example, in winter, there is not a lot of exposure to pollens and other triggers. So it was more like easier to control.
Moving on, Ms. Öztürk, when did you suffer your first asthma attack after your arrest by ICE agents in March of this year?
I had my first asthma attack when they took me to Atlanta airport. We were waiting there, and I started to cough and had my asthma attack, lasting for a while.
How severe was this asthma attack?
I believe it was a severe asthma attack because although I used my inhaler for
That's right.
times,
That's right, Max.
I couldn't
It's all
get
about
over
due
it
process.
easily.
And what do you think contributed to this asthma attack?
I definitely think that stress and anxiety and the physical tired hunger, because of the whole process of being carried across different places really increased my stress, and I think it really triggered my asthma.
Were you afraid during that time?
I was afraid and I was crying.
God.
Did you have all your asthma medication when you were at the airport in Atlanta?
Unfortunately, no. Because the day that I left my home, I was going to go to the iftar, which is during the holy month of Ramadan. It was dinner time. So I only had my emergency inhaler that was left a little bit. So when I was in Vermont, I asked for my daily maintenance inhaler. Unfortunately, it was not provided to me. And when I was in Atlanta, I asked for medication, inhaler again. Unfortunately, they told me that there is no place to buy any medication. Also, I requested for fresh air, but this was also not possible, at the time.
Ms. Öztürk, when did you suffer your second asthma attack after your arrest?
I suffered from my second asthma attack, and first one here on March 30, as far as I remember.
And so you were at this the current ICE processing center in South Louisiana when that happened?
That's true.
How severe was this asthma attack?
This asthma attack was severe. It happened after being exposed to smoke inside of the room.
Can you describe the symptoms you experienced during the asthma attack?
Of course. I was experiencing again chest tightness, difficulty breathing, and coughs that I couldn't stop after using my emergency inhaler for 2 times. And I was feeling very exhausted.
Yeah, it is.
And what did you do to
I'm not sure who's representing her,
during
Butterflies.
this asthma attack?
First, I used my inhaler. It didn't work, and I asked to go to the corridor because there was smoke inside. And finally, they let me to go to the corridor.
And were you seen by the medical center at the detention center at this time?
So it took quite a long time for me to be like for them to let me to take fresh air and go to the medical center. And when I went to the medical center, I only had seen a nurse that was staying there at night.
And can you
Wow,
describe
butterflies, those are
your
expensive.
experience at the medical center with the nurse?
Yes, I would like to give some details on that. When I went to the medical center, they like
Yes,
I
Jane.
was because it took I think more than almost like 1 hour or a little bit less or a little bit more for them to, from the first onset to go to there. When I went there again, I was crying and I was in a very difficult situation. Because of many coughs, I had fever, and they measured my fever and they told me that I have fever. And then the nurse told me that you need to take that thing from your head. And she forcefully took off my hijab. I told her that she cannot take my hijab without my consent, but unfortunately she didn't give it back. It took me a while to be able to get it back.
She made the nurse made her take her
believe
hijab off.
Like this cold testing, and she measured my oxygen. But when she measured my oxygen, I was already it was already after a long time from my asthma. And at that day, she also gave me ibuprofen.
Give your
And I
ibuprofen.
waited there for a while, and we talked about a few other medicine that I requested from them, and they explained me that it will take time. This is what I remember from the day.
Can I make a suggestion? She actually submitted a 14-page declaration, which I've read, which goes over many of these.
Yeah, why don't you guys read something?
Areas of testimony, and also her criticism of the medical care that she received. I'm interested to know whether the frequency of asthma attacks has increased or decreased, and the severity of the asthma attacks, whether they've increased or decreased. I don't think it's important to go over each one of them. Just is there a pattern that she sees as a result of her placement in this facility?
Sure, Your Honor. So I'll ask a question, Ms. Öztürk, relating to that. How many asthma attacks have you suffered since your detention?
The first time they took me, I experienced 12 asthma attacks. Increasing, what I am observing is that they both increase in length. Now they are between 5 to 45 minutes, and they are more intense, coming from like lower, like chest, and also they are more intense, like longer and harder to stop.
Since you last submitted your declaration, which was submitted last Friday, how many asthma attacks have you suffered?
I have suffered 4 more asthma attacks.
Whoa. 4 more since she submitted her affidavit.
Why do you think you're suffering more frequent and intense asthma attacks?
I believe there are different reasons. First of all, the room conditions, as I described in my declarations, is very challenging for an asthma patient because there is constant exposure to dust, triggers, there is like not proper air ventilation. We are not allowed to take fresh air when we need to take it, and on-site time is very limited. Also, there is no divider between the showers, like on the top, and toilets and sinks. So unfortunately, also the maximum capacity for the room is indicated as seating capacity for 14 people, but there are 24 people living in a small area, spanning almost more than 22 hours inside of the same locked cell.
Okay. And how would you describe the difference between how well your asthma was managed before detention compared to now?
I think there is an incredible difference because before, as I mentioned, I was being very careful with my exposure to triggers, having a less stressful life. But here, unfortunately, I am constantly exposed to like cleaning supplies, dampness, and there is a light issue inside of our room. Also, the situation, of course, is very stressful with being defined as over control and constant pressure included in the detention center. And also,
So you think that the frequency and the seriousness of these attacks has increased because of your exposure to such things as cleaning supplies, et cetera, and that you're not careful about what you're exposed to in general?
How much is enough for her to get the medicine? Thank you, Jane. Jesus, let's cut to the chase.
Yes.
Why don't she go home? How many is enough for her to go home? To just be a student.
Because of both the constant triggers.
We need child development people. We need smart child development people in this world.
Right now.
Okay.
And other than your asthma, Öztürk, how has being in detention impaired your general health or well-being?
Unfortunately, I think it is affecting me in a very negative way, alongside with other women living here, not accessing enough medical care and medication. So unfortunately,
there's the docket for this case.
Medicine or medical treatment is very hard.
Put Tom Homan in that fucking jail.
When you access them, unfortunately,
can't wait till he goes to The Hague. I'm going to be fucking front seat, baby. Lee, let's go to The Hague. No, we're not. We're going to...
Because of not believing in patients that they have diseases. Yeah.
Ms. Öztürk, I want to move ahead to discuss your release plans if the court does grant you bail.
Oh my God, she's not even getting bail?
You are ordered released
oh my God.
by the court.
Thank you very much for asking.
Oh my God. You know what? Remember, do you remember when the J6ers complained about due process? Jesus Christ.
I would like to go with one of their options. Right now, I have my leave on the end of May. I will move my stuff to staff holding as soon as I am released.
And sorry, just to confirm, your current lease is expiring at the end of this month.
This is true.
How do you know that Tufts University is going to be providing you housing upon your release?
My lawyers communicated with them and confirmed that they are providing me housing.
Oh, wow. Good job, Tufts.
How do you plan to support yourself financially after your release?
Who gives a shit? What, are you paying her bills?
I am a doctoral student who is on full scholarship. That includes my educational tuition fees and also my living stipend. So for this summer, I will be providing my finance through teaching a course called Introduction to Children's Media, which I taught over the 2 years. Also, I will be
she's supposed to be teaching this summer
from Tufts University, alongside with another additional funding from a project of my advisor. Next year, I will be getting my stipend through being a research assistant or teaching assistant in my department.
She's a teacher.
And how important is completing your PhD to you?
That's right. J6ers did it to themselves. That's right, Max.
My PhD is very important for me. I have worked for this PhD for a long time. I have been in graduate school over the last 7 years. The work that I do is very meaningful for me because I believe I am doing my best to learn, grow, connect, to develop as a developmental scientist, as a child development scholar, to contribute to well-being and development of children all around the world.
And can you describe the work you intend to complete as part of your PhD if you are released from custody?
Of course. Until this point, I have completed many of the competencies and coursework and internships in my department. After I am released, I will be first taking my qualifying reviews. After that, I will be working on and submitting my dissertation proposal.
Wow. She isn't even...
Later, I will be submitting my report application to Institutional Review Board, which is the ethical community that oversees all research projects in the university.
Hey, Curtis Yarvin.
After this, I will
This
be
is your job. You
starting
did
my data
this.
collection process, which includes
You did
interviewing
this.
participants. In my case, interviewing young people.
You did that.
At college age.
Hey, Peter Thiel.
Later, I will be
I know you don't care.
starting analyzing my data. And in between of these processes, there will be a data hearing process where I receive feedback from my advisors in my remaining analysis. After that, I will be finishing my analysis, write-up, and I am planning to defend and submit my final dissertation and portfolio to Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
And is it possible for you to do any of that
Oh
work
my
while
God.
you're being detained?
It is impossible to do any work here because of many reasons. First of all, I don't have any access to my computers, library resources, articles, advisors, and peers, which are very integral to.
I mean, her lawyer's doing a great job, like getting the story out. That's what he's trying to do. I get it.
To control time because, for example, there are many times that they call us and we lose so much time, almost 4 hours inside of our beds. There is constant noise, and there is no place where I can focus and work on my dissertation study and access to resources.
Yeah, sorry.
So my understanding is that in
The library
May,
at Rikers is closed.
You have obligations, some preliminary obligations that must be completed in May, and you were concerned that unless
I
you
agree.
were released very
Thank you for
quickly,
sharing it, Gal.
you would not be able to complete those preliminary obligations. Is that right?
This is true, Your Honor. I had my qualifying review scheduled, which I worked for 5 years.
Oh my God.
That includes.
She worked towards a
my
schedule for 5 years.
Research, statistics, cultural sensitivity, and grant writing, and many other competencies. And I am really in need of taking my qualifying review to be able to start my dissertation process. Everything takes time in a dissertation journey, in a doctoral journey. And yes, I am very concerned that I am missing.
It's ruining her.
And I am missing my deadlines.
Her deadlines around her dissertation and her PhD,
related to my doctoral program. For example, during this time,
which is not, just easy.
Conferences that I was going to attend, and I missed
the brain drain is real. Absolutely,
very important conference.
This is crazy.
That I was going to present.
This country's fucking nuts.
One of my qualifying papers related to character.
This country is fucking nuts.
Okay. So I would imagine Tufts would be flexible.
But she didn't invite us on stage.
But yes, I understand that you feel that you're under pressure to address those competencies. Okay, is there anything else that?
Just a couple more questions, Your Honor. Okay. If you are released, Ms. Öztürk, what type of arrangements have you made or will you make to ensure you are able to attend hearings at this court in Vermont?
Of course. Thank you very much for the question. I am grateful that my lawyer will be providing me transportation support. And I know that also my colleagues are ready to provide me transportation support. Also, for the court hearings in immigration court, I will be joining them also. I know that being present in the courtroom is very important, and I will follow all the rules, and I will be present in all the courts.
Thank you, Ms. Öztürk.
Okay. All right. Mr. Drescher, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Öztürk. I think the petitioner should call the next witness.
Yeah.
And thank you for being slow in your presentation.
No.
So I know that you will, if released, be teaching again very soon. Try that slow technique.
Oh my God.
Thank you,
Shut the fuck up, asshole.
Slow, yes.
You'll do your best?
She is calm. She is calm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Petitioner is called Dr. Jessica McCannon.
Yeah, she's calm and while being in a prison in Louisiana.
The other side of the pillar here. Come right up here through here. Keep it very well hidden. Right up there against the wall, there's a ramp up to the witness.
Uh-oh. Got some courtroom shenanigans.
Good morning, Dr. McKinnon.
Can I ask you to state your name and spell your name for the record, please?
Jessica McCannon. That's Jessica. McCannon is McCannon.
And please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give relative to the cause now under consideration
Right,
shall be the
Carla?
whole truth and nothing but the truth. If so, please say I do.
The government are
Okay,
full
good
of
morning.
domestic terrorists.
I should say that I have read Dr. McKinnon's 6 or 7 page report. I've also looked at her curriculum vitae. It's already a part of the evidence. So you don't need to go through the curriculum vitae because we'd be here for a long time, I think, it being lengthy. So, but recognize that I've already read all of her report. Okay.
2 questions, Your Honor. First, may I approach so I can give her some water?
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Right.
Water in the court. Water in the court.
And second, Your Honor, would you prefer we can, if given that you have read the materials, we've been prepared to present her expertise, but we can jump directly to her substantive testimony.
I've taken a look at her expertise. I mean, and gone through a curriculum vitae, and she is clearly qualified. I think perhaps focusing in directly on her observations of Ms. Öztürk and the risk that may be created by continued incarceration would be helpful.
Your Honor. And if we may,
Sorry.
I think that groundwork, some general building blocks with respect to asthma, if you have your indulgence. All right. Good morning, Dr. McCannon. Good morning. We've already heard from the court. You have some expertise in asthma, so I'd like to speak with you a bit about that. Is that all right? Great. For the lay people in the room, could you please describe what is asthma?
Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disorder of the
I
airways.
wonder if you could speak right into the microphone because I couldn't hear you there.
Is this better?
That's better.
Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disorder of the airways associated with variation in airflow limitation, which means changes in how the air flows out of the lungs at different times, and is associated with a number of very common symptoms, including cough, chest tightness.
Yeah.
shortness
I think
of
this is a
breath,
release
and
hearing,
wheeze.
a bail hearing.
What happens if those symptoms of asthma that you just described are not properly treated?
So if symptoms are worsening and are not properly treated, patients are at higher risk of developing an asthma exacerbation, which is a subacute or acute experience of symptoms worsening, airflow obstruction worsening, and potentially the need for emergent medical evaluation.
And what are the risks, Dr. McCannon, of if you have an exacerbation of your asthma symptoms?
If you have an exacerbation of your asthma symptoms, those symptoms will get worse. You are at risk of requiring an emergency room evaluation, hospitalization, and if a severe asthma exacerbation goes untreated, there is some risk of death as well.
We've been talking about these exacerbations. What can trigger an asthma exacerbation?
There are many, many triggers of asthma. Among the most common are
No,
upper
no,
respiratory
stop.
infections,
I know, we're so,
particularly viral
it's monstrous. It is monstrous.
exercise, outdoor and indoor allergens. For outdoors, we think about pollen.
What a waste of money.
Indoor, we worry
Think of it
about
that way.
exposure to dust,
What a waste of
to
money.
animals, to mold.
This government, when it's audited, if it's
we
ever
also
audited,
worry
I
about,
can't wait to see that audit.
Exposure to
The way money's
irritants,
probably moved
so
around,
strong smelling items like cleaning
that's probably going to be
detergents,
just
bleach,
insane.
perfume, cigarette smoke, and stress is also known to
Oh,
worsen
speaking of
asthma
cigarette
control.
smoke,
Can I just ask one
about
question
weed?
about outdoors?
what about weed?
There's another submission from Ms. Öztürk that she only has an hour, up to an hour a day outside. Does that create difficulties?
It can create difficulties, particularly if that period outdoors is associated with exposure to pollen, right? On the one hand, being outside with fresh air can be helpful. Yet at the same time, if that period of time outdoors is associated with other triggers, that can also be problematic.
In your experience, Dr. McKinnon, of treating hundreds of asthma patients over the course of your career, have you learned from them what an asthma attack feels like?
Yes.
What have you learned about what an asthma attack feels like?
My patients have described for me feeling frightened and often describing feeling like they are suffocated and cannot take a deep breath.
Oh,
I know you mentioned earlier that asthma is a chronic condition. What does that mean, that asthma can be cured?
No, we do not consider asthma as something being curable, merely controlled with attention to symptoms and reducing risk factors.
What are the methods that a patient can use to control their asthma?
Sure. So we prescribe a range
my
of
gosh,
medications.
Jay,
inhaled
that's terrible.
Medications. Two major categories. There are inhaled corticosteroids, which reduce the inflammation in the airways. There are also inhaled bronchodilators, which open the airways to make it easier to breathe. Those are often used in a moment where they're experiencing distress. We have some devices that combine those two agents as well. But in addition to thinking about the range of pharmacologic or medication approaches to asthma, we always make recommendations for considering mitigation of exposures as well as part of our management plan.
I want to take those two pieces a little bit in turn. So you were talking about inhaling medications. Are those, lay people sometimes refer to those as inhalers?
Yes.
Okay. And are there different ways in which patients with asthma can use inhalers?
Yes.
What are those ways?
So there are inhalers that are used on a daily basis, no matter how patients are feeling on any given day, right? So as to maintain or control the disease. And then there are other inhalers which are used for quick relief or emergency use to alleviate suddenly worsening symptoms.
And you also mentioned the separate component of controlling symptoms was, I believe you mentioned, avoidance and mitigation. What is avoidance and mitigation of triggers?
So it means having a good understanding of what your personal triggers are and taking measures to avoid those triggers. This can be managed in a number of different ways depending on those triggers.
How important is avoidance and mitigation as a part of an asthma patient's control of their symptoms?
It is incredibly important because oftentimes use of medications, even in the face of triggers, is not sufficient. And ongoing exposure to triggers can undermine the benefits of the medication.
That's her.
In your experience,
That's her.
An asthma exacerbation.
When my daughter was in elementary, a student had Teresa, that's
and
so
the patient
sad.
isn't able to remove themselves from the trigger. Can inhalers be
I don't know, I would
enough in
imagine.
that situation?
They may
Quite a few.
help, but they would not be enough to prevent worsening of disease.
And what, in your experience, would happen under those circumstances?
I think there would be increasing risk of developing a more severe asthma exacerbation, requiring an emergent evaluation, potentially requiring an emergency room evaluation, or more specific medications, more intense medications.
Have you seen examples of that occurring in your practice as a board-certified pulmonologist?
Yes, frequently.
You mentioned earlier that the goal of asthma is in control of a patient's symptoms. Is that right?
Yes, control of symptoms, reducing risk.
Are there tools or instruments that you as a clinician can use to measure a patient's asthma control?
Yes, there are many tools and instruments. There are several that are used quite frequently in clinical practice because they are practical and easy to administer.
And can you name one of those tools for us here today?
Sure. The asthma control test is a validated tool, which consists of 5 questions. And depending on how your patient answers those questions and how they score, it gives you a sense of how their asthma has been controlled in in the preceding 4 weeks.
Are there any other tests that you use regularly in your practice to measure asthma control?
Yes, there's one other that I like to use. So GINA, G-I-N-A, which stands for Global Initiative for Asthma, is a worldwide collaborative which consists of asthma experts from around the world who provide strategic guidance on managing and evaluating asthma. They have a tool, a 4-question tool, and depending how your patients answer 4 questions, it also gives you a sense of whether their asthma has been well controlled, partly controlled, or poorly controlled in the preceding 4 weeks.
Hi, everybody.
Aside from the 2 tests that you've just described, are there other methods that you use in your practice to measure asthma control for your patients?
Yes, with that, it's really just having a sense of somebody's clinical history, trajectory, and experience over preceding months and years. We do not have great tools to assess asthma control other than that 4-week period, but it's just by taking a clinical history.
We've been talking a bit about folks who have well-controlled asthma, sometimes less well-controlled asthma. Has the field of pulmonary medicine learned anything about the risks for people with well-controlled asthma over the course of the past decade?
Yes, I would say there's been growing attention and appreciation for the fact that even among patients who are considered to have mild or well-controlled asthma, they are still at risk of developing exacerbations, severe exacerbations, near fatal exacerbations, and sometimes deadly exacerbations.
I want to turn your attention now to your evaluation of Ms. Öztürk. In the course of preparing for this hearing, did you form any opinions about Ms. Öztürk's health and in particular her asthma condition?
Yes, I did.
And on what did you base your professional opinions, Dr. McCannon?
So I had access to medical records from her first evaluation in Turkey. I had access to her evaluations from Tufts Health Center. And I was able to have a clinical interview with Ms. Öztürk.
Were you able to physically examine Ms. Öztürk?
Aside from being able to see her on the screen, no.
Why not?
Because she was detained in Louisiana at the time of our conversation.
If you had been able to be in the same physical space as Ms. Öztürk, were there additional examinations that you would have performed?
Yes, I would have performed a complete physical examination, but obviously would have auscultated or listened to her lungs and would have considered using tools to assess her lung function as well, either with a peak flow meter or with spirometry.
Are there other times in your practice when you have been assessing or diagnosing your patients remotely?
Yes.
When has that been?
So during the pandemic, the medical field has gained considerable practice in evaluating patients using virtual platforms. And we continue to use those virtual platforms, often just having access to our view of our patients and a clinical history.
How often are you now in your clinical practice assessing and diagnosing patients remotely?
Every week I have at least a handful of patients who have opted for virtual visits, so I continue to use that modality.
With respect to Ms. Öztürk, did the fact that you could not examine her physically impact the confidence that you had in the opinions that you're going to express here today?
No.
And why is that?
Because I have considerable experience, again, with those virtual platforms, operating and making judgments based on clinical history. And based on her particular clinical history, it tells, for me, a very clear story of her diagnosis.
I'd like to get to that story with you. Based on the clinical history that you conducted with Ms. Öztürk and the medical records you reviewed, did you form an opinion about whether Ms. Öztürk had asthma?
Yes.
And what was your opinion?
I believe that Ms. Öztürk has a diagnosis of asthma, specifically cough variant asthma with an element of allergic asthma as well.
What was the basis for that opinion?
The basis of that opinion is related to her clinical history of having allergic rhinitis,
right, peace, love.
seasonal and
Hell
environmental
yeah.
allergies. The assessment at the time of her diagnosis, her response to therapies and some other elements
Agree,
of her history
Teresa.
as well.
Based on the clinical history that you conducted with Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about whether her asthma was well controlled during the period of time that she was at Tufts?
Yes.
And what was that opinion?
My opinion was that during the time she was at Tufts, for the majority of the time, with the exception of a period around the time of a COVID infection, her disease was well controlled.
So I'll take those in turn. Why did you think her asthma was not well controlled during the period that you just described of her COVID infection?
So during her infection with COVID, she had periods of cough that were very difficult to control. And more chest tightness and shortness of breath.
We're dotting all those I's.
Occurrence among patients.
I think that's how we got here.
Suffer worsening symptoms in the setting of viral infection.
In the course of your review of the...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Rumeysa's actually having an asthma attack right now and needs to use the bathroom so she can rinse after she has her asthma medication. Your Honor, I'm so sorry, but may she have permission to leave to use the bathroom? Just for him.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
all right. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Do you wish to proceed while she's just taking a break, or?
Attorney Kambabi, were you able to ask Ms. Öztürk if she wanted us to proceed or to wait?
She was okay with proceeding.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I apologize, Dr. McCannon. I think you were in the middle of describing
15, hell yeah. Double digits,
what
baby.
the typical experience is for your patients with asthma who sometimes contract upper respiratory infections. Could you pick up there?
You bet. So patients with asthma, when exposed to upper respiratory infections or viral infections, frequently suffer worsening of their symptoms and control. This is a common cause of worsening asthma.
And in the course of your review of the medical records for Ms. Öztürk, were you able to see the type of treatment that she received for that exacerbation during the period of her COVID infection?
Yes.
And how often was she able to receive medical care during that time, Dr. McCannon?
So she was assessed by the team at the health center on several occasions and had frequent communication with her medical team throughout this period of time.
I believe you said
I don't know.
Of this one
That's a good question because she referred to Öztürk's lawyer in
the remainder of her time at Tufts.
Where she is.
That is correct.
And what was the basis for that?
I'm a little confused on some of the
during
timeline.
The subsequent approximately 18
Yeah, can we talk about the kidnapping?
She was able to have periods of time where she did not use a maintenance inhaler and only needed to resume with the onset of change of season, exposure to pollen, and when she suffered onset of her asthma symptoms, the cough that she describes, she was able to handle it with her approach to mitigation and use of her quick relief medication.
Based on your clinical history of Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about whether there were steps that she herself was taking to help control her asthma symptoms?
Yes.
And what was that opinion?
So she took great pains to be careful about what
what I haven't heard?
To clean her
the times when she had an asthma attack while committing quote unquote terrorism because she wasn't.
Wore a mask. Took great care at choosing what she used to make sure that she was not exposed to strong odors.
Yikes.
She made changes to her schedule, traveling to the library early in the morning to avoid foot traffic and any associated odors from perfumes, etc., from her classmates. Avoided pets. Those are just a few examples.
Right,
and
exactly.
Do you have an opinion about whether
she considered that? I doubt it.
Control?
Yes.
What was that opinion?
It is incredibly important.
Based on your clinical history of Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about her asthma condition since she has been in detention? That would be since she's been detained on March 25th of this year.
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
In my opinion, her asthma control has worsened significantly.
What's the basis for your opinion? Well, before I get there, you said that described her control as worsening significantly. Would you consider it poorly controlled at this point in time?
Yes.
Do you consider it poorly controlled throughout the period of time she's been in detention?
Yes.
What's the basis for that opinion, Dr. McCannon?
So based on our conversation and history that she has recounted about the periods of worsening cough and chest tightness lasting for longer periods of time and not responding as well to her emergency medications, in addition to administering those 2 instruments that I mentioned earlier.
So let's talk about those instruments. When you say that, are those the validated tests that we had discussed?
Yes, the asthma control test, ACT, and the GINA assessment control questions.
And do you recall the score that Ms. Öztürk got on the ACT test?
Yes, her score was 14, which is consistent with poorly controlled asthma.
Do you recall the score that she obtained on the GINA assessment?
Yes, she answered 3 of the 4 questions in such a way that led to the correlation with poorly controlled asthma.
How would you describe the degree of change from Ms. Öztürk's asthma condition while she was at Tufts to her asthma condition since she has been detained?
It is a very high degree of change. She has experienced the same number of what she refers to as asthma attacks and more severe in intensity over this period of time of just 4 to 5 weeks compared to a period of 18 plus months, almost 2 years.
And I want to talk about that period because I know that, do you recall when you last took a clinical history of Ms. Öztürk?
Yes, the last time we spoke, I believe was May 5th.
So why don't we go by dates? So today is Friday. Do you recall the last a day of the week that you spoke to me?
Hey, Orson.
We spoke on a Monday.
It was Monday. The 5th was Monday.
I can't actually. It's all a blur. I can't remember. Forgive me.
If I were
The
to
5th was a
suggest that
Monday.
Your declaration was signed on May 2nd. Does that
Yeah.
help
May
refresh your
2nd.
recollection?
Oh.
Yes, then it would not. I have not spoken to her after that point.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
and
not
if you've been
Monday.
in court here today, Dr.
That's-
McCannon?
Yes.
And did you hear Ms. Öztürk's testimony?
Yes.
And did you hear Ms. Öztürk's testimony that she has experienced additional asthma attacks?
Yes.
And that has been since the last time you spoke with her, is
That
that
is
right?
correct.
Based on your clinical history of Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about what was causing her asthma to worsen since she had entered detention?
Yes.
And what was that
There
opinion?
you go. Oh.
I think it is directly related to her current living situation.
And in your professional opinion, are there particular elements of the condition that she's experiencing in detention that's leading to her having poorly controlled asthma?
Yes.
What are those elements?
So she's currently living in a space which, as we heard her share earlier, I think is designed for 14 people sitting. And she is essentially living almost 24 hours a day with 23 other women in the space, exposed to the humidity
Oh my God.
from the showers that are open to that space, and exposed to strong odors from detergents, shampoos, cleaning supplies.
Oh my
and as I
God.
understand as well,
In a space for
there,
14,
also
she's
has
with
been
23?
seen rodents and insects as well.
Oh my God.
Not to mention the considerable stress that she's experiencing. All of these things
I mean,
are known to worsen asthma, and we know that they worsen.
we've got
her
to do
asthma.
something about the prison.
Do you have any other professional concerns about Ms. Öztürk's condition while she's in
Yikes.
detention?
Yes.
What are
Oh,
those
thank
concerns?
gals for amplifying
From what
this.
I have learned from Ms. Öztürk, her ability to obtain timely medical assessments is a concern for me. Patients with asthma who are experiencing worsening asthma control can deteriorate very quickly, and if worsening symptoms are not addressed, the risk increases of developing a more severe asthma exacerbation requiring urgent medical attention.
Previously mentioned that you think one of the elements that's leading to her worsening condition are the number of women that she's living with in one space. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do the number of women that Ms. Öztürk is living with give you any other professional concerns about her condition in detention?
Yes.
And what are those concerns?
I'm concerned about the ease with which viruses can be transmitted in small spaces, particularly those upper respiratory viruses that are known to cause asthma exacerbations.
Based on your clinical history of Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about the risk of her condition worsening if she's not released from detention?
Yes.
Ms. Öztürk has just returned.
Thank you. What is your professional opinion about the risk of Ms. Öztürk's condition worsening if she's not released from detention?
My opinion is that she is at significantly increased risk of developing an asthma exacerbation. If not released, that would potentially require emergency evaluation.
Oh, that's a good point, Jay Rance.
And when you say emergency
Right,
evaluation,
butterflies.
what are the locations at
Louisiana
which
is one of the worst for prison
So oftentimes patients require evaluation in an emergency
conditions.
room setting. Sometimes they are required to be hospitalized on a general
prisons.
medical
Another
service
slavery
or in an ICU.
legacy.
And as I mentioned earlier, if not treated appropriately,
some
and
is,
quickly,
okay.
Patients can suffer morbidity and mortality related to asthma exacerbations.
The locations that you just mentioned that an urgent evaluation might need to take place are those locations that you believe Ms. Öztürk is at a risk of needing to go to as a result of her worsening condition?
Oh, God, it's terrible.
What is the basis
Chronic
for that
bronchitis.
opinion, Dr.
The basis for that opinion is in the increased frequency and worsening of her symptoms, and particularly the increased use of her quick relief inhaler, which we know to be associated.
They're trying
with
so
those
hard to
previously
push it all
stated
through.
risks, not to mention her inability to protect herself from her known triggers.
And when you say protect yourself, is that referring to the mitigation and avoidance techniques we discussed earlier?
Exactly.
Based on your clinical history, Ms. Öztürk, did you form an opinion about whether her condition will improve if she's released and able to return to Somerville?
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
My opinion is if she is released and able to return to Somerville, that her asthma control
Somerville.
will improve based on
I
her
used to live
ability
next door
control
to
her
Somerville in
environment and her
Charlestown.
ability
That's right.
to easily access medical care
Womp womp.
and work with her medical team to address.
Yeah,
any
maybe
issues that may
prison
come
is
up.
the trigger.
I guess the flip of that, based on your clinical history
Maybe
of Ms.
illegal
Öztürk, did you
detention
form an
is the
opinion
trigger.
about whether
I don't know.
her asthma condition will improve if
She was
remains
arrested for
in detention?
existing, okay, and
And
having
what
an
is that
opinion.
opinion?
I thought they
If
loved
she remains
freedom.
in detention,
I thought these guys
I
loved
believe that her
freedom.
asthma,
What happened to
control will
that?
worsen.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Drescher.
Bummerville. Oh, you lived in Alston. Oh, whatever. Whatever.
Good morning.
That's where Tufts is. Tufts is in Somerville. Somerville. I love Somerville.
A conversation
Neil.
or a communication you were having with Ms. Öztürk, and
Freedom, right.
I believe you
White
said
babies.
something
White
to the
babies
effect of
freedom.
something that she described as an asthma attack. Is that, and I wanted to explore that, was that choice of language on your part, especially careful that she was describing something as an asthma attack that perhaps wasn't an asthma attack? I'd like to understand what you were trying to
I think you're reading too much
communicate
into it,
Sure.
sweetheart.
So, Ms. Öztürk, in my short time speaking with her, uses the phrase asthma attack to describe episodes of worsening symptoms. So, worsening cough, chest tightness, etc., that requires her to use her quick relief. I will make a distinction between that and my use of the phrase asthma exacerbation. Does that help?
Yes.
So it's
Is there
just
a clinical definition of asthma attack?
There is not. There is sadly very loose and messy terminology in my practice. It is just important for me to understand what my patients mean
really?
and what they
Interesting,
experience
Oren.
when they use certain terminology. When I use the phrase asthma exacerbation,
Did you drop that in
what
Discord?
that means is
I'd love to
sort
take
of
a look at that.
subacute or acute worsening in symptoms requiring particular medications and interventions.
How many times have you spoken with Ms. Öztürk since she's been detained?
Yeah, turmeric's good.
We spoke twice.
Hell yeah.
And have you had a chance to review the medical records from the facility where she is currently detained?
No.
Do you know how many times?
Why haven't you gotten access to her
she
medical records?
Reported what she's described as asthma attacks to the medical team at that facility?
No.
Have you had any communication with the medical team at that facility?
No.
Are you aware of any medicines that Ms. Öztürk should have access to relative to her asthma that she does not have access to at the medical facility?
Yes.
What is that?
She has access to Pulmicort, is my understanding, and a quick relief inhaler, albuterol.
And are those appropriate medicines?
They are, I believe, not adequate based on her current control, but better than nothing.
To your knowledge, has anybody made an effort to communicate with the medical team at the facility as to Ms. Öztürk's need for other medicines?
I don't know.
Nothing further.
Well, I certainly
Thank you.
hope
Any further
so.
questions?
Just one, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, come on. Just kidding.
Hi, Dr. McKinnon. You were just asked by opposing counsel a couple of questions about terminology.
Yes.
Regardless of the words that Ms. Öztürk has used, what has the symptoms that she has described to you told you about her current condition?
Her symptoms clearly tell me a story of a patient with asthma whose asthma control has worsened significantly.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Drescher, any
Oh,
further
there is an
questions?
opposing counsel? That's so
All right.
weird.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I get
Doctor.
it, but yeah.
Okay, you want to call next witness?
Next witness.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Petitioner calls Dr. Sarah K. Johnson.
Good morning, Professor Johnson.
Ask you to state your first and last name and spell it for the record, please.
Sarah, S-A-R-A, Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N.
Please raise your right hand.
Meanwhile, the
You swear or
35
affirm that the
spelling
evidence you shall give relative
is
to the cause
running.
now under
It's the
consideration
second
shall be the whole
time.
truth and nothing
Oh
but
my
the truth.
God.
If so, please
What
say
is
I do.
wrong with
I do.
this
Thank you. Please
place?
be seated.
What
Thank you.
is
Your Honor, may I
wrong?
approach the witness just to give her some water?
Oh my God. With the water. Why don't we have water up there for
Thank
those
you.
people? What's going on? There should be a little cooler with some bottles in it. My
Good morning,
God.
Dr. Johnson.
What are you guys
Good
doing
morning.
up there in Vermont?
Where are you employed and what is your title?
I am Associate Professor and Director of Graduate Studies in the Department of Child Study and Human Development at Tufts University.
This woman
And what is your connection to Rumeysa Öztürk?
is studying
I'm her
child
primary
development,
advisor,
child
which
and youth
means I'm
development.
responsible for supervising her completion of all the
She's
requirements of
studying-
our doctoral program.
She's studying
And how long
on
have you known Ms.
impact,
Öztürk? I've
the
known her
impact
since
of
September
media, social,
2020,
or
so
how
almost 5 years.
youth use media
And what does
in
your
a
role
pro-social
as Ms.
way.
Öztürk's primary
Literally,
advisor entail?
she's doing really important
So
work,
I am
which helps us give
responsible
agency
for
to
making
kids.
sure that she
It's not just a
fulfills the program
hypothetical or
requirements, and
esoteric
for our doctoral
topic.
program,
It's
students
real
have
world
to
stuff that makes
fulfill
the
a number
lives of
what
children
we
better.
call academic milestones. So, for example, several papers that have
I
to be
agree,
written,
gal.
the largest and most final of which is the dissertation. We also have, which Rumeysa referred to, several competencies. So those are, for example, presentation skills, teaching skills, things of that
And
nature.
media literacy, right.
And so
I mean, this is like
make sure
crucial.
that she is working towards those, that she is
Crucial.
completing them, and also
Yeah, I
to
guess
a
we can't
level
have
of
people
high
making
quality
children's
and in a
lives
timely
better.
manner.
Can I ask a question as well? She testified about some
Exactly.
competencies.
Not
which
until they can
were,
produce.
I guess due in May.
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there flexibility in regard to
This is her
whether
thesis
she can be
or her
offered,
dissertation
to
advisor,
satisfy
doctoral
those
advisor. I don't know what they
competencies
call them.
in the future?
Yes, absolutely. We are prepared to offer her flexibility.
How many students do you supervise, including Ms. Öztürk?
I personally supervise 4 doctoral students right now.
And how often and
Is that
in
a
what
lot?
context do you meet with these students?
So I use the
Yeah, then they're
same
breed
schedule
mares,
with
yeah.
Rumeysa
Oh my
as all my
God.
students,
Fuck, man.
which is that every other week we meet for an hour.
But she laughed
sometimes
too
more
much.
often if it's a busy or intense time.
I'm not saying she
And
wouldn't
then
be
we
a,
also have
you
group
know,
meetings in the
a
off week.
piss me off.
And we have very extensive
I mean,
informal
Kamala would have pissed me off,
communication.
I'm
Their
sure.
office is right down the hall from mine.
But at
so I
least
see
people wouldn't
Rumeysa
be in a
constantly
prison in El
walking back and
Salvador.
forth, also over
My
email,
God.
over text. And we also have social gatherings as a lab.
Is it Gus?
Thank you. So
Is that Gus?
I'd like to turn to Ms. Öztürk's
That-
scholarship, which we talked about today. But can
No,
you
that's Sam.
describe her
That's
research
Sam.
and the focus of her dissertation?
Sammy.
Absolutely. Broadly speaking, her research is on
He doesn't have,
positive
Gus has white
media development,
paws.
positive media use of children.
Or in
and
Libya, yeah.
adolescents. And for her dissertation, we have to focus a little more specifically. And so she's looking at how late
I love that
adolescents
cat.
use social media in what are called pro-social ways, which
Sammy.
pro-social means to the benefit of other people rather than
Sam
oneself.
Bam.
And
Samwise
how would you
Gamgee.
situate Ms. Öztürk's research
You're
within
allergic
the
to
broader
cats.
field?
So Rumeysa's research
You
is
started taking
innovative
Zyrtec,
for
and here you
many
are.
reasons, but
Aw.
two that I think are
You have a
particularly
great
important.
wife. I love your wife, and I don't
I've
even
read a
know
lot
her.
of news about social media, and there's a lot of concern.
I feel like I know her.
And
She's a
so it's
Greek
really
princess.
important
That's all I
that
really know.
research
And a
addresses
doctor.
what is happening with social media
She's
with young
amazing.
people.
And she probably has
Rumeysa
to listen to a
brings
lot of
strengths-based perspective to that.
dad jokes.
Does not ignore the potential
That's too
negative
bad.
consequences of social media, but brings that essential voice of positivity to the conversation. And she's also connecting social media, not just to how we communicate, but how we develop pro-socially. So pro-social development is a really important.
This is so
what we call
important.
developmental task.
Oh my God.
And so understanding how social
This
media
work
plays
is
into
so
that is
fucking
extremely
important.
important for
Oh my
developmental science.
God.
And I'd like to now turn
This
to
is such a massive
discussing the
fuck
importance
up.
of Ms. Öztürk being on campus at this stage in
What
her
a massive
studies.
fuck up.
So when is Ms. Öztürk
I mean, it
expected
wasn't,
to
but
complete her degree?
they did
At
it
the
on
time of her
purpose.
detention, Rumeysa was on track to finish her dissertation in December of this year, which at Tufts means she would receive her degree in February 2026.
And what happens if Ms. Öztürk cannot complete her dissertation and her degree on this timeline?
She will absolutely still be able to complete it, but with every day goes, that goes by, she's missing out on opportunities for her future career,
Right.
such as grant proposals, opportunities
really.
for publication.
Not that there are any
She
grants,
needs to
but,
have her
you know.
degree in hand,
Oh.
we would say, to be able to apply for.
I thought that was something else. Sorry.
And what stage of the PhD program is she currently in?
Rumeysa is, as she mentioned, at the point, it's a very critical juncture between finishing everything else and being able to start on her dissertation. So she mentioned her qualifying review, which actually had been originally scheduled for yesterday.
Oh my
And
God.
that is where she would meet with members of her committee.
What a story,
to
though.
review
I
everything
so
that she's
hope they
done,
release
her
her.
entire
And
body of academic work in our program. And
I hope
then
she
we would
sues the
decide whether
fuck
she
out of
was
this
ready
government.
to move forward with her dissertation.
like
And
the absolute fuck
it's
out
a
of
really
it.
big deal for PhD students in our program to do that. And so that's where she's at right now.
And at this stage,
Yeah, these are not
I
the
know you
details of
mentioned
a
she had a
criminal
qualifying review. What
or
are the other types
terrorist.
of activities that she would be doing in order to prepare to eventually defend her dissertation?
Absolutely. So because this is really the final stretch, the home stretch of her program, she is
I hope
working
so.
on her dissertation, which is a major undertaking that has many different components that, academia has to be completed in a very particular order with very particular amounts of time in between. And she really needs to be there with us
Yeah.
to communicate about that.
Yeah. And not in a cell with
And are
23
there
other
courses
women.
that Ms. Öztürk would be teaching that are
Oh
also
my
would be
God.
in furtherance of her requirements?
Yes, definitely. So Rumeysa is scheduled to teach this summer a course that she mentioned called Introduction to Youth and Media. It's through the Tufts Pre-College program. So it's a course for high school students.
Aw.
And this would be the third
Aw,
year
I love
that she has
those
taught that course.
things.
It's a
Aw.
much beloved course scheduled to be taught in July.
Oh my God. She's, oh my
And
God.
during her testimony today, Ms. Öztürk mentioned that she has served as a research assistant. Is that something that she would also be doing as part of this stage of her studies?
Yes, absolutely. She is scheduled to be a research assistant on a project we are starting about a podcast that is designed for adolescents.
God, this would be
So we're
so
doing
great.
the data collection around how adolescents experience the podcast. Because it's a podcast, it's about media. So she's our media expert on that project. Her expertise is absolutely critical.
Oh my God.
And for these various projects that you've described, how important is it for Ms. Öztürk to physically be on campus in order to participate in them?
Oh, wonder, Oren, good question.
That she can't participate, as she.
That's a good question. Did Noam and all the rest of the fascist tools get preemptive pardons from Trump, or is he just promising to give them if they don't have presidential fake Roberts Court immunity?
I've sent her a proposal, but it's really, really challenging.
What?
Things that if we were down the hall could take one day.
Oh my God, Jim.
Several weeks to complete, if it was possible at all.
Mickey.
And for the course,
wow, Mickey's going to have to split that up. I wonder if Mike Flynn's getting any money back.
If she's unable to teach it, what happens with that course?
Oh.
She is really not replaceable as an instructor. It is a course she has designed herself from scratch with many, many hours of effort. And
she's probably part of the magic of the course.
They have to cancel it.
And similarly with the podcast project you mentioned, you said that she is the sort of resident media expert. What happens to that project if Ms. Öztürk is not able to participate?
Her expertise is really difficult to replicate. It will greatly extend the timeline of the project because the rest of us will have to learn the expertise that she already has and can already bring to the project, and we won't be able to do it as well.
Right.
I'd like to shift to opportunities that Ms. Öztürk has already missed given her detention. So one major milestone that you mentioned was her qualifying review that was expected to take place.
Why did her mother get it?
Yesterday.
I don't know, Jim.
So
I got to look at that.
Is there a way for her to complete that review upon release from detention, and how long would that process take?
So it is absolutely possible to reschedule. Typically,
Wait, what are we talking about?
Expedite it, which of course we will.
Did I miss something? Oh, Babbitt.
It may take a month or more to reschedule. Don't anticipate it would take that long in this case, but the intensity of what.
But is he an ex-husband?
That every day that goes by,
is he an ex-husband?
where that meeting doesn't happen.
Boy, that's going to piss Mickey off if it goes to him. No,
puts her at risk of not meeting that December deadline.
I thought she brought the suit, though.
And are there other projects or other milestones that Ms. Öztürk has already missed out on?
Yeah, Mickey is funded by Mike Flynn and what the fuck's his name? Patrick Byrne.
Professional conference in our field.
Yeah,
called the Society for Research in Child Development. She was scheduled to present there last week, and she's in her 5th year, and that's very prime networking time at these conferences.
Cracker Barrel,
she would have been
Which
talking
one is
to
that?
people about postdoctoral fellowships and jobs, and
I'm missing all these stories.
And she has also missed the dissertation and thesis defenses of several close peers, particularly one where she really played
which is part of their process
to the student in their analysis, and that was really devastating to not have her there for that.
Well,
and finally, I'd like
these guys
to talk
really don't care about that.
Your impression of Ms. Öztürk, given your close relationship with her as her primary advisor, and her integration into the Tufts community. What will Ms. Öztürk's presence on campus contribute to the work not only of her colleagues, but to the broader campus community?
Absolutely. So Rumeysa is a critical part of our lab.
Oh, God.
My students, my four
thank you, Max. Yeah.
Rumeysa run a peer review group of all of their work, and they are missing
$1 million?
out on her very constructive yet extremely rigorous comments. And Rumeysa is also a mentor to many more junior students in our department. And so they are missing
I wonder what they're going to do with it.
Those opportunities to learn from her. We have so many students who are interested in media.
Yeah, exactly. I hope she spent a bunch of money thinking she'd have her donations. Just like Clark Griswold. She learned nothing.
Your letter of support that was submitted alongside Ms.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
You described her as, quote, pro-social.
Tisk, tisk.
Are there specific instances you recall where Ms. Öztürk demonstrated this pro-social characteristic?
I'll speak to a few that
They
have involved
grifted a
me
lot of
personally.
money. Yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about Rumeysa's allergy-induced asthma, but from a distance, she really loves cats.
Well, we should watch and see if
she
any
loves
money
my
goes
cats
into
in
like the
particular. And
Flynn
so she's always asking
coffers.
me to show her pictures of the cats. And recently, one of them underwent treatment for cancer. And I didn't know it at the time, but in our meeting, Rumeysa wrote down the dates of the treatment that my cat was having for cancer. And then on that day, she sent me a text that said, I hope everything goes well with, his name is Barsik's cancer treatment today. My thoughts are with you and my husband and our cat. So that's just a very small story that illustrates the level of care she shows for other people. She has also befriended my mother when she moved from Kentucky to Somerville. My mom's bucket list trip is to go to Turkey. And so Rumeysa, first time she met my mother, sat and talked with her for hours on her recommendations of places to go and things to visit.
And what are Ms. Öztürk's interactions like with her peers, with other students in her cohort, and with the department writ large?
Okay.
I already mentioned the peer review group that she has with the other PhD students. They give comments to each other. I often see those when they send them on to me. And Rumeysa gives
I know, she's a wonderful
rigorous but
human.
constructive feedback, which is a lot more difficult than it seems like it would be. And she also has
I know, Jim,
friends
it's also
throughout
the
our
America
department.
Project, which is
Sometimes we
Mike
walk from
Flynn
my
and
office
Patrick Byrne.
to the PhD student's office.
That's
and
who the
everyone
America
always,
Project
"Hi,
was.
Rumeysa,
They paid
so
for the
hi,
Eagle's
nice
Nest
to see you."
after the
And
Rebecca
we do these
didn't.
departmental events. Rumeysa mentioned some of them, and sometimes I will walk in
Crazy.
and I will see her sitting.
Because
with
Mickey
various
ended up on Mike Flynn's
undergraduate
stage
students,
at the
master's students,
Ruining America
some
tour.
PhD students really stick, with their little cohort, and that's good, but that's absolutely not Rumeysa. She really makes an effort to get to know everybody across all levels in the department community.
And how have your students, Ms. Öztürk's peers, experienced her absence from campus over these last 6 weeks?
It's been devastating. It's especially at the
This is so important, though. Humanizing, which is ridiculous.
Like that master's thesis
but
defense, where
humanizing people
there,
on the record,
having mentored the student with
uplifting these stories is what's going to get people freed.
For that particular student. But one of the ways I know how much everyone has been impacted was I helped coordinate the submission of letters for her bail application. And I asked a very large number of people. Everyone agreed. And then after that, I kept getting emails and I kept getting texts and I kept getting people who would stop by my office and say, I would also like to write a letter on behalf of Rumeysa because we miss her and we need her back. And every day since she has been detained, I get an email, I get a call, I get a text. How is Rumeysa doing? When is she going to be back with us? Not the same at all of these events without her. It's a very consistent message across the department.
Yeah.
And then finally, to your knowledge, was Ms. Öztürk involved in campus activities outside of her research and her academic pursuits?
I know of two ways that Rumeysa has been involved. One is through the departmental student organizations that she mentioned, and the other is through the Tufts Office of the Chaplain as an interfaith friendship program called Be Friend that Rumeysa has participated in, that we have talked about because we've had to schedule our advising meetings around when she needs to be there for those events.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Drescher? No questions. All right, can I just ask, I mean, it's hard to quantify, but her level of engagement in the program. I mean, is she one of the students who is totally engaged in the doctoral process and in the study, almost to the exclusion of all other interests or?
Yes, I would characterize Rumeysa's level of engagement in our program as exceptionally high. I point to her with other PhD students as a sort of role model in that respect of really taking advantage of all that our program has to offer and being so thorough in fulfilling all of the requirements and participating in all kinds of activities.
I know, no problem. I know where you meant.
All right. Any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you, Doctor. All right. So let's talk about the schedule here for today. I mean, I was hoping that we would be done relatively quickly. We have one more witness to testify. How long would that take?
He's got to pee.
Your Honor, if we could have 20 minutes for the next witness, I think that would be sufficient.
Okay. And then arguments. The government has no witnesses.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. So the arguments. I mean, my question is whether we just take a short break now and just go until like 1 o'clock and finish, which would be my preference.
Go to 1 o'clock.
We can do that, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
What time is it?
We're happy to do whatever the preference is of the court, but we can certainly make that work.
Okay. Mr. Drescher, any objection to taking a 10-minute break at this point and then going to 1 o'clock? And objection? It's fine. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break.
Okay.
I'm really concerned about the communications with Ms. Öztürk and her being available on Zoom. So if we can just take a 10-minute break at this point and we'll start again. And hopefully we'll arguments of counsel and then I'll render a decision. Okay.
All right.
Okay, what I'm going to do actually is bring that back up on the computer because I think I can do that. I don't care if it's naughty or not. I don't, whatever. Because I want to hear the rest of this and I certainly want to hear his decision. So let me just tee that up right now as I get other things. If you can indulge me. Where's that fucking link? Where's that freaking link? Where's that freaking link? That's right. Oh, I hope that's right. Oh, I hope that's right. Oh, you know what I can do? I can, hold on. Don't leave me, darling. I know this took us a little off track of fucked Financial Fridays, but don't fret. Don't fret. Because really, listen, the human rights is the lead. The human rights abuses are the lead. Period. All the other stuff is definitely important. Nothing is more important than the human rights abuses in this ridiculousness. Hold on, let me try and bring this up. Zoom, I wanna zoom, zoom, zoom. Oh, actually, I guess I just need to go into my. I wanna zoom, zoom. Oh, join. Okay, and I hope he's not doing a different conference number. Here we go. I just need that, and then I need the other thing. Yeah. Meow. Don't connect to audio. Turn off my video. Doesn't matter. They're not going to have me on. A meeting passcode is the 238539238539539. Hell yeah. Please wait. The meeting host will let you in soon. Oh, I hope so. Oh, I hope so. Please do. Hi, Karen. How are you? Of course. Thank you, Gal, for sharing it. Why doesn't the government have any witnesses? Isn't she a danger to American policy? No experts? No nothing? I mean, what about the fact that... Oh, here we go. They're connecting me on the Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Uh, 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 uh. I wanna zoom, a zoom, a zoom, a zoom, a zoom. There you go. I wanna zoom. I appreciate the judge. Well, I guess I should leave this big so you can see whatever visuals there are. Sorry, I'm doxing everybody on the Zoom. Whatever. Oh my God. Okay, there. Leave it. Anyways, yeah, I'm really happy to hear this, actually. I know. I still haven't figured out my fucking audio on this thing, and I'm so sorry. I'm assuming most people have read the book The Giver. They adapted it to a comic style, and I'm reading it. Oh my God, that was one of Bobo's favorite books, The Giver. She loved that book in school. But I don't remember reading it when I was Yes. Yes. Your kids? Yes. Yes. Marco Rubio, thank you, Max. Marco Rubio has publicly stated that he revoked the visa of Rumeysa Öztürk, stating her case as a part of a larger effort targeting individuals described as the lunatics that are tearing things up. Oh, is that a State Department thing? You haven't heard of it? Oh, it's a good book. It's a good book, actually. Hold on. I haven't thought about it in a minute, but yeah. Lois Lowry, yes. The Giver is a young adult dystopian novel by Lois Lowry, published in 1993. It tells the story of Jonas, a 12-year-old boy in a seemingly utopian society who is chosen to become the receiver of memory, the person who holds all the past memories of the world. As Jonas learns about the past, he begins to understand the dark secrets behind his community's sameness and the sacrifices made to achieve it. It's a very good book. I know. I think Bobo read it in middle school. I think it was a middle school thing. It's Lois Lowry, Lowry. Who's zooming who? I remember that. Thank you, gal. Maybe we need to consider Zoom or something. Should be good. Yes, we can do that. Okay, listen, we can do that. Because I have a Zoom account, Lee, we're going to do it. You just need to, what I really need to know, Lee, is what's the best day for you. And you can decide in the moment, hey, I'm ready now. And then we can drop shit and we can go into some tariff stuff and get a report from you. So, because your schedule is far more restrictive than mine. So if you let me know, even in the moment, this is the time I can, then we're going to fucking do it. All right? No problem. There's a movie of The Giver? Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Sam says, I didn't know that either. Drop shipping the tariff briefing. Yeah, we're going to drop ship the tariff briefing. But yeah, let's do that. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. God damn it. Lee, thank you. That's why you're where you are and where I am. Good stuff. Yes, because today, that was one of the things I wanted to play. We're going to be on for a minute today, okay? So just everybody calm down. All right? I think it's a good way, though, gal, to introduce her to concepts. I think it's a very good, there's something about that book that was it really resonated with Bobo, I recall. And it really hit her. And she's a great person. She's a nice human. And so it didn't I think I'll have to ask Bobo, but I think she was in middle school. So probably around 11 or 12 when she read it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, gal, you basically probably have a better handle on whether or not your elementary level kids can handle the cons. I mean, your kids are a little more like sassafras. I'm reading Fahrenheit 451 with a fourth grader. Adults look at me funny. Well, I showed my daughter Reservoir Dogs when she was 5 years old, and then she went to film school and graduated with honors. Okay? So let me tell you. I believe that it is how you introduce your kid to media and how you on an ongoing basis how you navigate with your progeny through through the thick of it. That's really what I think, right? Because Bobo was exposed. Like we watched horror movies, and really violent ones. We watched, like fucking whatever, Quentin Tarantino, all that kind of shit. I think it's really how you process that with them. Obviously, the one thing I never showed my daughter, funny enough, the one movie I would not really allow or bring up with my daughter when she was younger was Clockwork Orange. Isn't that interesting? And I think I don't know why, but it's a fantastic movie. Don't get me wrong. But there's something about that movie that really triggers me, and so I never let my daughter watch. I never really introduced it to my daughter. Isn't that interesting? Because I really didn't hide from anything from her. It has some really tragic scenes in it. Haven't read the book. I think it's a tough book. Yeah, she's a pretty mature little girl. Okay, let me tell you. I know this little girl. I know this little gal. Okay, if any elementary age child is ready, I would say her. She's specifically qualified for gifted and talented at school with her very high critical thinking. That's the thing. She does. She has incredible critical thinking skills. I've been through this kid with, like, in a hurricane. Like, we were on a space during a hurricane. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've seen this kid grow up. She is something else. I love that little girl. My princess. Let's see. My daughter is just finishing 3rd grade, but my daughter's very perceptive and intellectual. She really is. She wants to know everything about everything. And I think that she strikes me as of the same discernment as other little ones that I know exist in this chat group room. That I know there are other people who have little ones, and I also know a little bit about them, and I also know that those children are also very astute. So it seems to be a pattern. Maybe I'm silly, but my parents had some wildly inappropriate films that I watched with them. I know. I mean, my kid probably watched like really inappropriate movies, but we would always talk about the stuff that was weird. You know what I mean? Like we would if there was something weird, she would ask, or I would bring up, "Hey, that's what this is." You know what I mean? Like, it's not. You can navigate kids through the tougher stuff. And certainly the people in this room, I would trust to do that. Maybe not everybody. Yeah, good combination. I mean, I just think I know a lot of great kids that have come out of the people in this friend group. So I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good on the whole. On the whole. Let me see. Let me make sure. I don't want to join your audio. React? No, I don't think so. What was I going to say? Let's see. Okay, maybe it was just the complete disconnect about talking about anything that bothered me. I can see where she gets it from. Knowing how to think, learn, and ask. Yeah, I am. She's calmer than me. Oh, Mr. Gal's awesome too. Mr. Gal is so awesome. I can't wait. Next week is going to be so fun. Ah! I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I got to send you all the details. Gal. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to come back with this little South Louisiana ice processing. Oh, good. They have the courtroom. So, here, wait, let me make sure I'm not going to like close anything. But here's the courtroom. And there's where Rumeysa Öztürk is sitting in Louisiana. I wonder if we can view. I think we want to view maybe multi-speaker. Ah, that's what we want. Okay, that's what we want. I don't want to leave. Don't make me leave. Don't make me leave. Trying to think of what's the best. Oh yeah. Any speaker is going to be what's put on there. Okay, it's going to go by speaker. I hope this works. I need them to make some noise. You guys need to make some noise so I can tell. Lee, maybe Rumeysa. Sorry. Yeah, it just like left my mind what the syllables were in her name. Is your road trip next week? Do we want to do the tariff thing when you're back? We can do it pretty much whenever. It really doesn't matter, Lee. We can do it whenever. In fact, we can do it next Friday if you want. We can do it next Friday. If that's a good day for you. I don't know if that's a good day, but the only bad days for me are going to be Saturday through Tuesday following that. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday through Tuesday will be the only bad days for me because I'll be camping. I'm going to be camping. I'm going to be camping. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to be in a tent. I'm going to be in a tent. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm so excited. I got my little spot. I reserved my little spot where I can see the sunset and the sunrise over the desert. And then stars at night. I'm so looking forward to stars at night. You don't know. I'm going to cry the whole time. I'm going to cry the whole time. It's going to be great. Well, I might cry. I might cry because it's too hot. I might cry because I don't know why. I'll probably, yeah. But I cannot wait to see the stars at night. No, I'm not. I'm going in, I'll be in Maricopa County. Let's put it that way. Or ish, I guess. But yeah. Oh. Yeah, no, it's out in the middle of, well, it's not in the middle of nowhere, but, close enough. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So excited. Anyway, Jane, what'd you say? You said something great. His frontal cortex hasn't even fused yet. What are you talking about? At my kiddo's last school assessment, they said he tested at a 20-year-old for comprehension level at age 15, which came, what? Oh my God, Jane. How freaking cool for him. I'm so happy. Randomly drove my kid to Joshua Tree to see the Leonidas or something, and a bunch of UCLA kids were there with a telescope. It was so cool. That's so fun. That is so fun. Oh my gosh. I know Joshua Tree. I might actually stop in Joshua Tree because I'm going to stop. I haven't picked the place yet, but I'm going to drive. I'm leaving next Wednesday. I'm going to drive as far as I want to and then stop somewhere and then go to Arizona or, the Maricopa County the next day. And then I have a hotel for a couple days because I need to do something. I have a hotel for a couple days because I have some things I need to do in town. And then after I do the things I have to do, then I'm going to head off to the campsite for 4 nights. I'm so excited. I hope it works out. I hope I do a good job. I'm not probably a very good camper. I probably am going to be real half-assed, but I'm kind of excited about it. So, I don't know. Are these guys talking? Because I can't hear them. I wish somebody would test their talking. Why isn't my thing muted? Oh, I didn't join the audio. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Good camper comes home with the most of stuff. Oh, well, I'll try to do that. I think I'm pretty well kitted out. Oh, I bet Joshua Tree is beautiful. Oh my God. Well, let's hope I make it that far and then I'll find a place. Maybe I'll just pull my car over I put my 10 up. Ooh, I'm so excited. Oh, stop it. J-Rance. Oh my gosh. You know what that means? Do you know what that means? Yeah, I'm so excited. Actually, I bought a stick to put marshmallows and hot dogs on. I'm so excited. We'll need to bust into mom's storage unit for your trip. Blah. Oh, I love it. Next year, I may do a road trip across America. Places. Oh, so many places to see. God. All right, wait a minute. Here we go for J Rance. Give it up for J Rance. Oh, good. Dance with me, Sam. What's the matter, Sam? Oh, God, I love that song. God, you know, you could just say final Mortal Kombat and I'll just play it for you. You don't have to give any money. You don't have to get any money. Okay. This is 10 minutes? Okay, I don't understand this. Are they talking? Test speaker and microphone. You have to buy a stick. They practically grow on trees. Oh, okay. All right. This might be what the problem is. Motherfuckers. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Fuck. Okay, hold on. God damn it, you guys, I'm so sorry.
Your submission.
I'm so sorry.
And I interpreted it as you offering your services to provide support for Ms. Öztürk. I mean, is there any particular problem in light of the fact that you are, in fact, employed by a city organization first? And would there be any limitations on your supervision of her if she was released partially under your care?
Can you say your first question again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, this is obviously the federal court, and you are working theoretically as a municipal organization. And I wonder whether, because you're employed by a municipal organization, it creates a difficulty for you spending time on a case which is a federal case, not one which is brought to you by the municipality.
So I have talked with my supervisors and members of the city about this, not in specifics, but in generalities. Okay. I have actually worked in other federal cases before. I have one other federal case that I'm working on. And sometimes people who return from federal custody, an incarcerative sentence, work with my team. Our services are countywide. So even though I'm employed by the city of Burlington, we do serve people all across the county and sometimes outside of the county if their cases are transferred.
This is about the transfer to Vermont.
Burlington, you theoretically practice throughout the county. And in fact, you have dedicated your services to some federal persons as well.
Yes.
And are you paid for the time that you put in regard to the federal supervision, or is this just a part of your general job?
In one case, my agency is paid. In the other cases, not paid. We do have some general funds that we're able to determine how we want to spend those funds ourselves. So we're using our general funds to do this.
Okay. But when you offered actually provide that kind of supervision, that's to help her become established back in Somerville, and also just to make sure that she's complying with whatever conditions are imposed. That doesn't necessarily require you to be paid by the federal government, does it?
I don't think it does. It's nice when we get funding from sources that we're working with, but there's times when we do not.
Right. And this is a situation in which you couldn't be on federal probation because this is not a criminal case. It's not a criminal matter. It's a complicated case, but you think that you would be able to provide that kind of support?
I think I could. And if I could just say one more thing about the funding piece, her attorneys are not paying me to provide the services, because the services that we provide are for all of the parties and for the person that is subject to whatever the conditions are. So I would either want sort of an overarching funding source or no funding source, so that I can provide this neutral option to the court.
Okay. And when you're providing those services and you become aware that someone has violated the rule, that is that they've violated some requirement, and your obligation is to inform the authorities that she is in violation or he's in violation of the rules, do you have reluctance to do that?
I don't have reluctance to do that. I see my role as following the court order. So it's sort of this coupling of accountability and support. So the accountability piece I take very seriously.
Okay. All right.
About how many people go through your pretrial services in a year?
Last year we had 362 people.
Okay. And going through pretrial services, what are some of the specific services that are included or involved in that process?
Well, it usually starts with whatever the court order says. So I don't always have an opportunity to talk to someone prior to the court order. So we would start with the court order, and I would want to make sure that whoever it was understood what those conditions were. After we sort of get through that point,
I'll list all those books in the description.
It's sort of twofold, like reminders about those conditions, but also reminders about court hearings, making sure that that person has transportation, and then thinking about all of the support things folks need in their life just to be successful. That transportation, housing, things, having their basic needs met.
We believe it's the ACLU, Jane. We are not sure.
Incarceration, reconnecting with their social supports.
Let me see if I can find out.
Their healthcare supports and their housing supports.
In your declaration, I believe you mentioned supervision specifically. How do you go about supervising someone in a case like this?
So because Ms. Öztürk would be in Massachusetts in theory, and I would be here in Vermont, I would want to use Zoom platforms or Teams platforms. So I would want to meet with her regularly and be able to see her. That could be on a schedule set by me or a schedule set by the court.
ACLU.
I would also want to check in with
the
her.
ACLU
maybe
of Massachusetts, of Vermont,
weekly,
Clear, CLEAR, and Emory
and then I
Emory Shelley
have
Brinkenhoff,
contact information for
a law firm, specifically Esha Bandari, Deputy Director of the ACLU, is also representing Öztürk in federal court.
One of her deans, who is
and Brian House, another ACLU attorney, is part of her legal team. Her direct representation in court.
You mentioned as well that part of your job is conducting an assessment of the various needs that a person might have related to support,
and
so
they
that
are
could be
ACLU
successful What are some of those areas that you inquire into?
So I've met with Ms. Öztürk on 2 occasions, and we talked about all of those things that I mentioned. We've talked about her housing. We've talked about her health care.
The Ender's Game series. Yeah,
I'm aware that
haven't seen the movie.
University has several options for her to choose from for her housing. I was able to read others' declarations, so I feel like I have a good understanding from those declarations and from
It's
today about her
self-loathing.
healthcare needs and
I
how
heard it
others
wasn't
are
good.
attending to that. I am aware that she has a very supportive community around her of peers and professionals, and that those are things that she holds very dear. She said something to me during one of our meetings, and I hope I get it right. It was something like, friendships are the joy of life. And so as someone who does this work, it's important for me to hear that someone has social supports, because when we have a community of people around us, we're more likely to do well with whatever we're trying to manage at the time.
She's not the problem.
And in addition to meeting with Ms. Öztürk and reading the declarations, hearing testimony here today, did you take any other steps to gather information about the services supports available to her?
Crispy Gnome is
I
the
did
drama.
meet with members of her team from Tufts University so that I could verify
I love that.
some
Good.
of those
Thanks,
details that Ms. Öztürk had shared with me. And so I've met with folks from the medical center.
Thank you, Carla.
We had a long conversation about housing. The people that I met with did share that she is very deeply connected and rooted in the
keep having
Tufts
"Don't Fence Me
community and a
In"
very
run through
valued
my head
member
all
of
the
that
time as I'm
community,
planning
we've
this
heard here
trip.
today.
Specifically with assessing her academic support, what did you learn?
I learned that Ms. Öztürk is nearing the end of her PhD studies, that she's already missed some very important deadlines, that it is really solely her focus in life at this point to be successful in school. I also learned that she's a teacher and that she really appreciates that role that she holds.
And with respects to Tufts' role, did you learn anything about their ability to support her academically?
I learned that they are wholeheartedly and professionally ready and willing to support her and are anxious to do so.
You mentioned that you met with someone from the medical center. Did you learn anything about her access to medical care upon her release?
Yes, she is already a patient at the medical center, and she has access to that medical center, and they have some concerns about her current health status and are hoping to meet with her in person soon to evaluate her status and make sure that she can regain her health.
In addition, you mentioned transportation. Did you gather any information about her plans for transportation to and from court appearances?
Yes, Ms. Öztürk talked about having many people that would be willing to transport her, friends, but specifically her immigration attorney is willing to transport her to hearings.
I mean, I have traveled a fair amount.
And finally, you discussed her connections to community and support.
Maybe this will give me the
heard from you on this already, but to the extent there's anything else you'd like to share about what you've learned about her connections to community.
I'm going to miss my kitties, though.
Well, I know that her family is in Turkey, and they are a part of her community. She shared with me that she typically speaks with her mother on the phone every day and her grandparents on the weekend. So that's a connection that's dear and important to her, and that's also essential for her health. I learned that she has that most of her connections are centered around her academia, and she has several peers that are important to her, that she's important to. They spend time in the library. I heard some stories about potlucks, and the professionals that I've met with have the utmost of respect for her, and just are truly looking forward to her rejoining them.
Do you know if her parents and grandparents are still in Turkey?
I believe they are. Yes. Yes.
If Ms. Öztürk was ordered released today. Would you be prepared to supervise her pursuant to whatever conditions the court may set?
I would.
And if she was ordered released today, what would your next steps be?
I would want to talk with her attorneys about connecting with her today and just setting up whatever our next meeting was, our next connection was. I'd also need her to sign some releases so that I can communicate with people on her team so that I can have independent verification. So typically when I do, I'm working with pretrial service participants, I'll meet with them, but I also have to verify that what they're telling me is real and true. So I would need to be able to check on that as well.
And you mentioned that you have contacts for 2 people at Tufts that you could reach out to. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Any further questions, Your
Okay,
Honor?
no.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Drescher.
All right, Mr. Drescher.
Good afternoon.
Are you the
Does the
DOJ
Burlington
lawyer?
Community Justice Center supervise anybody outside of Chittenden County?
Yes.
And what's
Oops.
the, how far away is the most farthest person that the center supervises?
Yeah, they can really be anywhere. I had a person in our court diversion program who was in New Zealand. We do get cases where a judge will order pretrial services for someone who has visited the state of Vermont and something has happened and they go back to their home state.
Really, Karen? I did not
so
know
that does happen quite a bit.
Frank Lloyd Wright
When
was
you
a
are acting at the
homophobe.
direction of a court, it's my understanding that it is a state of Vermont court.
Correct.
Wow,
And it's my
Karen, what an
understanding that those are
interesting
in criminal
story.
cases.
They are.
Do you have any experience supervising somebody who is subject to removal proceedings in immigration court?
I do not.
Would you have any reservation about reporting somebody's failure to comply with conditions to immigration authorities if she were subject to removal proceedings in immigration court?
I would not have any problem with that.
Would that and it's my understanding you are an employee of the city of Burlington?
Correct.
Would that role restrict you in any way from cooperating with immigration authorities?
No, it would not.
What? What? He's trying to get her commitment for ICE?
Any further questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right.
What does that have to do with anything?
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, Karen, how wonderful.
Is that it for witnesses from the petitioner?
Means a lot.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Drescher, any witnesses to be called?
No.
All right, so then we can address the motion. Again, I would just want to remind everyone that I've read all of your submissions. I read all of the the statements from various individuals and thought about this a lot, so you can be relatively brief, it seems to me. And who is going to argue on behalf of Ms. Öztürk?
I'll be doing that, Your Honor.
Okay.
So I can now say good afternoon, Your Honor.
Yes, right.
I hear, Your Honor, given that we have moved from morning to the afternoon, so I will keep this brief. This court is obviously quite familiar with the standard that we are using here under MAP, that we need to establish substantial claims and extraordinary circumstances that render the grant of bail necessary to make the habeas remedy effective. And in addition here, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this morning, Your Honor, we're seeking an immediate grant of bail with no stay. Given that Your Honor discussed the substantial claims at great length in the initial. Exactly.
And so did the circuit. So I don't think that you have to spend a lot of time on substantial claim. Extraordinary circumstances, what's your position on that?
Absolutely, Your Honor. So as Your Honor read in the submissions and heard today, there are extraordinary circumstances here with respect to Ms. Öztürk's health, as well as her academic pursuits, that require bail in order to make a habeas effective remedy. You heard today, both from Ms. Öztürk herself and from Dr. McCannon, that her asthma is poorly controlled, it is significantly deteriorated, that she is at risk of serious exacerbation, including the necessity for emergency care. You also heard from Ms. Öztürk herself on your questioning, Your Honor, that both the severity, the duration, and the frequency of her symptoms have all increased in detention. And in fact, we experienced that here today. I want to also talk, Your Honor, about the fact that not only do these health risks, are they extraordinary circumstances, but these are extraordinary circumstances that require bail in order to ensure that the habeas remedy is effective. The relief that Ms. Öztürk is seeking here in her habeas petition is release from unjustified and unlawful detention. And we are now more than 6.5 weeks into Ms. Öztürk's detention for an op-ed that she wrote. And over the course of those 6.5 weeks, as Your Honor just mentioned, both this court and the Second Circuit have made very clear that the jurisdictional bars do not apply to restrict this court's authority to order bail and to rule on her habeas petition. And over the course of those 6.5 weeks, the government has had multiple opportunities before the District of Massachusetts, before this court and the Second Circuit to produce any evidence to either justify the detention or oppose petitioner's bail motion. And in the face of explicit requests from both the petitioner and this court, the government has not done so. Without bail, as a result, Ms. Öztürk is facing the very harm that she's challenging in her habeas petition, which is the unlawful retaliation and punishment for her speech that violates her rights and sends a chilling message to everyone who's watching. And this is without any evidence except for a newspaper article that she's been held for this period of time. This is really the exemplar of an affront to the Great Writ, and we need bail now to preserve the very purpose of habeas. When Mr. Madawi was arrested, it was the same day that Ms. Öztürk was last before this court, and he is now out. And that was based on a ruling from a court in this district that found that if he's being detained in retaliation for exercising his First Amendment rights, release is essential to make habeas relief effective. And that was necessary and
this is her op-ed
in Mr. Madawi's case. And I will say, while we've been in this hearing, Your Honor, the Second Circuit has denied a stay in Mr. Madawi's case. Bail is equally necessary and appropriate here.
Just ridiculous. It shouldn't even be there.
Of why bail is necessary to effectuate.
I hope these people sue the fuck out of anybody they can and get all the money they can. I don't
and without any stay. The Federal Rules of Appellate Procedure 23C unambiguously state that absent a court order, a person who is on bail during habeas must be released. And the Supreme Court made clear in Hilton that this establishes
when do we get to impeachment? I understand that's quaint
release for someone on bail,
but.
And the only way that's overcome is through an analysis of whether the government makes a strong showing of a likelihood of success on the merits, irreparable injury.
But they didn't have any witnesses.
The stay would injure a third party, or if a stay would be in the public interest. And just as in Mr. Madawi's case, which the Second Circuit just denied the stay as well, all of those factors favor a denial of a stay here. If this court agrees that there is bail here that is on the basis of a finding that the petitioner has, as we believe we made a substantial showing of the substantial basis for our claims, there has been absolutely no showing of a government injury for a stay here.
You know what? Nancy could have gotten them.
That is placed against the other side of the ledger here, and that's Ms.
WWND.
Öztürk. And for Ms. Öztürk, every day that she is detained is a significant injury to her, particularly when First Amendment rights are at issue, and particularly when her health is at issue. There's been no allegation that there's a third-party injury that would be required, and the public interest here favors release, Your Honor, which is what the courts have said time and time again when First Amendment rights are at issue as they are here. And here there's a particular reason, Your Honor, to deny a stay, and that's because we know how stays have been used in the past in this very case.
Cool media.
The petitioner and every court that has been involved in this case has moved Ms. Öztürk's petition expeditiously in recognition that she is being detained.
Yes. Well, no, we didn't, but I have the clip
that she wrote.
It's a good one.
Every day that she's detained continues that violation. The government, however, has delayed and used stays in the past to increase the length of Ms. Öztürk's detention. And although 2 courts denied a stay, both this court and the Second Circuit, her release, or excuse me, her transfer was already delayed as a result of the government's use of a stay. If past is prologue, we would anticipate the government may do the same if a stay was issued here, waiting until the last minute and potentially dragging out Ms. Öztürk's time in detention. And this flies in the face of the writ. It flies in the face of the presumption that the federal rules require. This compounds her constitutional violation to both her, and it magnifies the chill. And that's why we would ask this court to order the immediate release for Ms. Öztürk today without a stay. You've heard from Ms. Penberthy, who said that she is ready to begin supervision today.
Right now.
And you can see Attorney
She should be getting up right now.
Next to Ms. Öztürk. Attorney Kambabi is ready, able, and willing to walk out with Ms. Öztürk today to make sure that she has accommodations tonight and to get her back safely home. And that is why we ask this court to grant bail and to do so without a stay.
All right, Mr. Drescher.
Oh, here we go. Here's the government.
Your Honor, our principal objection to the release under MAP continues to be a legal one. We appreciate that Your Honor has rejected those arguments previously. We appreciate that the Second Circuit has signaled very strongly that it agrees with Your Honor's analysis. The government continues to believe.
That's why I said that the opinion was so great. I think I started with saying the Second Circuit opinion was just wonderful, and you're acknowledging that it's because
I recognize that the Second Circuit had compliments going both directions, Your Honor.
Oh, you noticed that they complimented our decision.
I noticed that as well. Fully recognizing Your Honor's previous decision and the Circuit's recognition of the Circuit's treatment of Your Honor's position, we continue to assert that this court is neither the right forum nor is this the right time for hearing this habeas claim. In the absence of habeas jurisdiction, the court,
because you want a different one,
would lack authority to issue release under MAP. And I just want to be clear that respondents are in no way abandoning those arguments. We want to reiterate them and we want to preserve them for further litigation if appropriate. I appreciate there's no reason to revisit any of them, but I want to make clear that that's our fundamental objection to the idea of releasing Ms. Öztürk today on bail. Although I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have in that regard.
What?
If Your Honor is inclined
Where
to release
is the
her on bail, I
appropriate
think we need to have some consideration in this hearing as to what conditions should be imposed. Ms. Öztürk, as Your Honor knows, will continue to be subject to removal proceedings. Customarily, if somebody has been released from immigration custody while still subject to removal proceedings, ICE imposes a series of conditions that require reporting to immigration authorities, and it requires complying with state and local and federal laws, including laws about the need for non-citizens to stay registered with immigration authorities.
Oh my God, no, that's Nazi shit. That's Nazi shit.
I think it's important.
Shut up, Nazi bitch.
Extremely important that if Your Honor is going to issue a release order today, that everybody is on the same page as to what conditions attached to that order. And I think we all need to recognize that she will, because Ms. Öztürk will continue to be subject to removal proceedings.
Why?
That there will necessarily have to be some jurisdiction over her by the immigration authorities.
Why?
I'm not suggesting for a moment that the executive branch is going to disobey a release order.
Excuse me?
Given the fact that there is immigration court proceeding going on, given the fact that it's customary for people who are in such a proceeding who have been released from immigration custody to be subject to conditions, I would ask as a threshold that the court order as a condition of release, if you are going to issue a release order today, that Ms. Öztürk be subject to any conditions imposed by ICE.
No.
I understand those conditions might include location monitoring administered by ICE.
They? The secret
they might
police?
include limitations on travel along the lines that Ms. Öztürk has already volunteered. That would be, between Massachusetts and Vermont. As she indicated in her declaration, she'd be comfortable with that. The obligation to report
really
her residence to immigration authorities and any change in residence to immigration authorities. Certainly continued compliance with federal, state, and local laws to include, for example, laws that are specific to people who are in this country in non-immigrant status.
What does that mean? What, like what?
So, for example, it's unlawful for somebody in Ms. Öztürk's position to possess a firearm. It would be unlawful for her to fail to register with immigration authorities. Some of that's already spelled out in her notice to appear that she's in receipt of. I understand she has very capable immigration counsel that can help her navigate those obligations under Title VIII.
He doesn't even sound like he believes
it. I urge the court in formulating any conditions that are going to apply to dovetail those as much as possible to the conditions that would be imposed by
Lee,
ICE.
I think you got it.
I appreciate the testimony of the previous witness and her willingness to assist the court.
He's keeping his job. He's being a good German.
Administering any conditions. It may be as simple as just having
Nazis could do
the immigration authorities
what they did without the good Germans.
Perform their standard supervisory functions.
No, he has not. He has not enunciated
may want to overlay, some additional conditions on that. And so with that, we would ask any release order to direct Ms. Öztürk as a condition of release to comply with conditions imposed by immigration authorities, the regular and customary
it's just like some weird flex
immigration authorities
for
somebody who would be released from immigration custody, but who is still subject to removal.
What does that mean? Does that mean they're in her business? Like, what does that mean?
The things I spoke about.
What does that mean?
But also, no matter what, the obligation to
what does that mean? I know he is. He's gently applying it.
Offenses and to make all appearances, whether it's in this
maybe it's
court
time to rethink your position.
All right, I appreciate your
pretty easy
offer.
Actually.
All right. So
regular and customary must mean something clear, right? I understand that.
The question of what law applies in evaluating release on bail. Both sides refer to MAP versus Reno, which sets the standards. Court agrees that MAP remains the controlling standard here. The Second Circuit has said that MAP is, in quote, a difficult standard to meet. And sister courts in this circuit have found the petitioner bears the burden of demonstrating she meets it. MAP requires this court to find three separate factors. The first, whether the habeas petition raises substantial claims. Second, whether extraordinary circumstances exist. And third, whether a grant of bail is necessary to make the habeas remedy effective. The court finds that Ms. Öztürk has sufficiently established all three factors. First, substantial claims. Ms. Öztürk has raised a very substantial First Amendment claim. I addressed that in the earlier ruling. The Second Circuit has addressed that as well. And the court's opinion on April 18th, it considered the evidence submitted by Ms. Öztürk to show that her detention was in retaliation for her co-authoring an op-ed. The court held that in the absence of additional information from the government, the court's habeas review is likely to conclude that Ms. Öztürk has presented a substantial claim. So I essentially suggested to the government that they produce any additional information which would suggest that she posed a substantial risk or that she could contest that determination that she did not raise a substantial claim. And in particular, I put the government on notice that they should immediately introduce any such evidence. And that was 3 weeks ago, and there has been no evidence that has been introduced by the government other than the op-ed. I mean, that literally is the case. There is no evidence here as to the motivation, absent consideration of the op-ed. So that creates unto itself a very significant, substantial claim that the op-ed, that is the expression of one's opinion, as ordinarily protected by the First Amendment, formed the basis of this particular detention. And that sets out the argument that the petitioner has made that the reason that she has been detained is simply and purely the expression that she made or shared in the op-ed in violation of our First Amendment rights. The court need not decide at this stage whether her detention actually constitutes a First Amendment violation. The court can address that at the later hearing. But regardless, the court finds that Ms. Öztürk has raised a substantial claim of a constitutional violation. And in addition, the court also finds that she has raised a substantial claim in regard to the due process issues that she has raised. In particular, a number of issues that raise very significant concerns about whether her detention was in violation of her due process rights. She's submitted various statements as evidence by officials of the government that support those arguments, that in fact the objective was punitive. Of course, this is a civil contempt situation. It's not a punitive contempt situation. And they have raised, the petitioner has raised very significant questions about whether the intention of the government in detaining her was punitive in nature. That raises a very significant due process claim. Secondarily, the process by which she was placed
what kind of madness do we have going on in here?
Raises very significant due process concerns. Again, the court need not answer those questions. That can be addressed when we deal with the habeas hearing. But I do find, frankly, that these are very substantial claims of both due process and First Amendment violations.
Good point.
So then one goes to a map again and goes to extraordinary circumstances. The extraordinary circumstances in this case are really self-evident. First, she is asthmatic. She is suffering as a result of her incarceration. I found Dr. Glendon's testimony to be very persuasive, that assuming that she remains incarcerated in the situation that exposes her to 23 other individuals in one large cell, and exposes her to all of the smells and the scents of cleaning supplies, etc., while she's incarcerated, which exacerbate her difficulties. She may very well suffer additional damage to her health. That's an extraordinary circumstance. And in fact, in light of the relative quickness in which these kinds of cases are resolved, this needs to be resolved at this point.
Fragrance
because it could
sensitivity
very well
recognized from the
impact her
bench
health
is a thing.
going forward. And that's an extraordinary circumstances. There are other extraordinary circumstances in this particular case, and I think I mentioned briefly
for many people.
one in the earlier opinion. Essentially, she was arrested in Massachusetts. She was then quickly moved to New Hampshire.
I'm going to clip
and then
his
to Vermont.
speech.
She was in transit at the time of the filing of the petition. But she was not taken to fly to Louisiana, taken to the airport to fly to Louisiana for at least another 6 hours. There were efforts that were made by the petitioner to contact the government and indicate to the government that, in fact, there was a stay, that a judge in Massachusetts at 10:01 had ordered that she not be moved out of the state. Of course, she was out of the state at that point. But the question is whether that is compliance with, in good faith, with the order, even though she is not in Massachusetts at the time of the order. It's unclear. I have no clue at this point as to whether the government was aware of the order, whether the agents that were in charge of her knew of the order and just disregarded it, or they just never knew about it. Perhaps that will come up at the time of the ultimate hearing. But this is an extraordinary situation when you have an Article III judge order that you not be taken out of the state of Massachusetts, and even if they didn't know it until she was in Vermont, but never responding to the court to indicate that she is in fact at a different location and can be brought back. I don't know if that is in fact the facts. That could be very well developed later on, but it raises substantial questions and extraordinary circumstances of this particular litigation. So the third factor is the grant of bail is necessary to make the habeas remedy effective. This factor dovetails with the two that I've just discussed. First, Ms. Öztürk has raised serious concerns about her health while in custody. In a sworn affidavit, a doctor is consulted, and in testimony today, doctor is consulted with her while in ICE custody, and she has deteriorated health-wise. Furthermore, detention necessarily constitutes a continued infringement on Ms. Öztürk's First Amendment and due process rights. That infringement may be justified if the government had presented a legitimate case for it, but as discussed, it has not done so. Meanwhile, our continued detention potentially chills the speech of the millions and millions of individuals in this country who are not citizens. Any one of them may now avoid exercising their First Amendment rights for fear of being whisked away to a detention center from their home. For all of those reasons, the court finds that her continued detention cannot stand, that bail is necessary to make the habeas remedy effective. So then the court turns to the question of conditions. And are there conditions which are necessary to assure that she would not pose a danger to the community, or that she would not pose a risk of flight? As a common in determinations of release from custody, the district court in MAP considered the petitioner's dangerousness and risk of flight. Court's aware that an immigration judge in Louisiana found danger and flight risk for Ms. Öztürk. The immigration judges are executive branch employees, subject to executive branch orders. This is an Article 3 court. It's obligated to conduct an independent and rigorous review of the evidence that is a part of the record in this case. In the April 18 opinion, the court invited the government to submit any evidence that presented to the immigration judge that would support a finding of dangerousness of flight, the risk of flight, but dangerousness to the community. And there has been absolutely no evidence introduced by the government which in any way indicates that she poses a danger of flight or that she poses a risk to the community. On the other hand, she has submitted numerous sworn affidavits. I think I counted 28 in the first submission, and then there were a number just recently, attesting to her peaceful and compassionate character, as well as her ties to the university and community. And I will just express my own observation, and that this is a woman who's just totally committed to her academic career. I mean, this is someone who probably doesn't have a whole lot of other things going on other than reaching out to other members of the community in a caring and compassionate way. There is absolutely no evidence that she has engaged in violence or advocated violence. She has no criminal record. She has done nothing other than essentially attend her university and expand her contacts within the community in such a supportive way. I do not find that any of the contacts that she's had in the community create any danger or any risk of flight in my mind. So therefore, the court finds that she does not pose a danger to the community, nor does she present a risk of flight. The court orders the government to release Ms. Öztürk from custody immediately, pending further proceedings in this court on the merits of her habeas petition. Ms. Öztürk is free to return to her home in Massachusetts. She's also free to travel to Massachusetts and Vermont as she sees fit. And I am not going to put a travel restriction on her because, frankly, I don't find that she poses any risk of flight. Yes. And secondarily, she's engaged in an academic career at the top of her career, which will require her to attend out-of-state programs, give out-of-state lectures. And as a part of her career, I think she's very likely to be traveling outside of these areas.
That's right.
So what I'm going to suggest in terms of
fucking PhD
conditions are first, that she be released on her own recognizance.
Thank you.
Second, that the Burlington Center for Justice be engaged to participate in her support and supervision. That's both support and supervision. To the extent that she will be supervising Ms. Öztürk, I'm going to order that Ms. Öztürk have at least monthly contact with the Burlington Justice Center, and that each month, once per month, the center,
and that it's for margaritas,
submits to this court, to me in particular, a report as to how she's doing, what she has done over the past month, and the future plans in the future plans that she has. The idea, of course, is for her to try to reintegrate into the Somerville community after what has been a very traumatic event, incident. And so that I think that the support and also the reporting requirements will assist in that way. Now,
Hi, Carla. I see you at the movies, hopefully.
That ICE may have conditions
Mother's Day, that's right.
That are standard in release of cases that involve persons who are in removal proceedings. Of course, she's not here, not in this court, involved in the removal proceedings. We have nothing to do with the removal proceedings. This has to do with the habeas. But I do understand that ICE has a legitimate interest in making sure that she does not pose a risk of flight or danger to the community. So what I propose is I'm not going to impose those conditions at this point, that the government submit a proposed set of conditions that ICE would request. And with consultation with petitioners' counsel, perhaps you can arrive at a joint recommendation. Perhaps Ms. Pemberley could actually make recommendations to what conditions should be imposed. And then within a short period of time, I will amend her release order to reflect those negotiated conditions. Next, although the government has not asked for this, the court is not going to stay this order. I think I've addressed in the other opinion the standards that you apply. The 4 factors the court must consider are: number 1, a strong showing that the moving party is likely to succeed in the merits. That's the government likely to succeed in the merits, and I do not find that they are likely to succeed in the merits. Irreparable injury to the moving party. I don't find that the government is irreparably harmed by her release into the community. Whether a stay will substantially injure the non-moving party. And when the public, where the public interest lies, I think all of those factors weigh in light of Ms. Öztürk. So it is the order of the court that the defendant is to be released on her own recognizance, subject to the conditions that I've just imposed. The motion to stay, if there is a motion, it has not been filed, but if there is a motion, would be denied.
A preemptive
then
denial.
I'd ask the government to monitor the situation in Louisiana. And that I would like to know immediately when she's released. You willing to do that, Mr. Drescher?
Yes, I will communicate the substance of the court's order to ICE as soon as I'm back in the office, and we'll ask them to alert me when Ms. Öztürk has been released from custody, and I will advise Chambers when I get that confirmation.
Great. All right, and again, I appreciate ICE has interest in conditions, and I'd like to hear what they feel is necessary. I don't think electronic monitoring would be required, but certainly, modest conditions may very well be appropriate. But again, I just find she doesn't pose a risk.
She didn't commit a crime.
Thank you.
All rise. Oh, they're hugging. Oh, no. Oh, they ended the meeting. Damn it. Wow. Wow. Justice, y'all. That's justice. Hey, guess what? It's almost 4 hours. I think I am going to we're going to have a fucked financial Monday. Okay? We're going to have a fucked financial Monday where we go over all the stuff that I was going to go over this morning. But I feel like asking you to spend another 4 hours listening to me is probably more than I'm willing to do. I don't want to ask you. I'm going to clip that judge's ruling. Yeah, miserable monetary Monday. Perfect. Oh my God. Oomph. Brilliant. Writer's room. Hashtag. I would like, I mean, this is all kind of ridiculous that we're here, really. But I will clip the judge's ruling at the end because I think hearing it is so impactful. Yeah, I know this was way more important. That's right. Thank you, Gal, for getting us in there before it got too far down the road. Sorry about the phone issue earlier, but because I'm really not very quick when it comes to that stuff. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, good. I look forward to reading them. But I will clip the judge's part because I think it's he says some things that are very moving and very accurate, and I think would be inspiring to other people who are exhausted resisting. So we'll do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like hearing it is really important. But yep. All right. Well, guess what? Tonight it's movies at the Discord. That's right. It's Fuck It All Fridays. Speaking of fuck. Yeah, Mondays usually feel fucked anyway. I like them. What is it? Miserable Monetary Mondays. I love that. Miserable Monetary Monday is what we're having. That was fantastic. Brilliant. Inspired. But tonight at 6:00 Pacific, 9:00 Eastern, everything inside and out. We're doing 2 movies. First, Escape from Alcatraz. Sorry. Hopefully I don't play Escape to Alcatraz, which is a frolicking rom-com with a frolicking rom-com with two criminals, reimagined Bonnie and Clyde, going to Alcatraz as part of a tourist. You know, it's crazy. You should see it. The Surgeon General, isn't she she sells supplements or something like that? Anyway. But anyways, so tonight it's Escape from Alcatraz with asshole Clint Eastwood. And then after that, it's probably a better movie called The Leech Woman. Thank you, Max, for your midnight selection. And so you should come to Discord. I will drop all the links in the socials. So please, you must very much come to the movies. I really would hope that you come to the movies. Thank you. And then tomorrow night I'll probably do a lounge. I'm really kind of, I have to figure out my schedule because I think I'm just over committing myself. And I know that sounds stupid because what I do doesn't feel like it's really that big a deal. But it's just my energy level is very different. So I have to think about whether or not I can make Saturday nights work, just to be honest. But I'll figure out what I'm gonna do and give people hopefully some notice. Because I miss that too, but yeah. Anyways. Okay. Thank you. I'm kicking my own ass. Well, but yeah, I just, this is anyway, it's a long story. It's fine. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great rest of your Friday. And definitely please come tonight. It'll be fun. Because if we're going to reopen Alcatraz, we better have a documentary about it. And I couldn't think of a better one than Escape from Alcatraz or Escape to Alcatraz. I know, doctor. I didn't go to the doctor yesterday. I better do that. Okay. Anyways, thanks again for coming. This was a really interesting and good morning, I think. I feel very educated and a little bit hopeful that the justice system is operating as it should in these moments. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't. I get like, it's just so intimidating to go into a new place. Believe it or not, it's just like overwhelmingly intimidating to like go outside and talk to people. Which is why I'm going to the desert next week to find myself. No, actually, I'm going next week to look at stars and to watch the sunrise and the sunset over the desert. And I'm holding that in my mind so beautifully. And it might not even live up to my expectations. I don't even care. Everything can go wrong. I don't care. I just want to experience it. I'm ready. I'm ready to be with myself for a minute and just figure out if I need more nature, which undoubtedly everyone does. Okay. Love you all. Take care. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And smoke a lot of weed. Okay.